DRC is transforming into a hub for technology, education, and governance, reducing the strain on Dakar and symbolizing a vision of decentralized, inclusive development. Culturally, Senegal is a powerhouse. The influence of Sufi Islam, particularly the Mahrite Brotherhood, has shaped not only spiritual life but also economic cooperation and communal cohesion. The nation's music, literature, and visual arts are internationally celebrated, with artists like Youssou N'Dour and filmmakers like Ousmane Sembene leaving indelible marks on global culture. This rich cultural identity reinforces a sense of unity and purpose, even amidst economic or political challenges. Socially, Senegal continues to prioritize youth empowerment and gender inclusion, with over 60% of the population under the age of 25. Investments in education, vocational training, and entrepreneurship are vital. Women's roles in politics, business, and civil society are increasingly visible and impactful, further strengthening national development. Senegal also leads in diplomacy and regional integration. It is a founding member of ECOWAS and plays an active role in African Union affairs and peacekeeping missions. This outward-looking approach reinforces Senegal's role as a stabilizing force and a champion of Pan-African ideals. With its deep historical roots, visionary leadership, and unwavering commitment to progress, Senegal continues to inspire a model of African development grounded in cultural pride, democratic values, and inclusive growth. I am Moyosore Adibi for Souk News TV. Madagascar, the world's fourth largest island, stands as a geographical and ecological marvel of the southeastern coast of Africa. Isolated from the African mainland for over 80 million years, this island nation has evolved into a biological treasure trove found nowhere else on Earth. Over 90% of its wildlife is endemic, meaning it exists only in Madagascar, including the world-famous lemurs, baobab trees that look sculpted by myth, and an astonishing array of reptiles, insects, and plants. This extraordinary biodiversity has made Madagascar not only a focus of global scientific research, but also a symbol of nature's ability to evolve independently and richly. Beyond its natural wonders,
Yeah, welcome back to Just Africa. In the second segment, we'll be having a deep conversation on exploring African tourism through changing narratives. Tourism across Africa has long been shaped by external narratives, often reduced to images of poverty, insecurity, or limited luxury experiences. You know, these stories have influenced both how Africans see themselves and how the rest of the world views the continent. As a result, local tourism economies remain underutilized. Despite Africa's wealth of natural beauty, cultural heritage, and adventure opportunities. Amolo, Africa tourism, what do you think?
So, because many a times we only get to hear a story of a place told by somebody who is not even an in-house person. When I say in-house person, like an African. And then most of all these narratives is what they tell you that you believe.
Yes.
So they're just going to create pretty picture like, oh, this is a third world country. Whereas they fail to show us the opportunities, the beauty, and of course, whatever it is that this continent holds, they don't show that part of it. They just want to tell you a particular narrative to keep you as an underdeveloped continent. But I mean, that narrative needs to change, and then when we tell our own stories, it helps to shape our own definition better and our own culture better. So I think I like the fact that we've got people like that who are taking the bull by the horn, and then we're going to have one conversation with one of them.
And for me, I feel Africans or our narrative, the economic part of tourism has not been explored enough. We see people now still go on vacation and they're traveling out of the country, while we have beautiful tourist centers that people can actually go to. But for one reason or the other, I don't know, just like my intro, maybe they tell you insecurity, or for one ungenuine reason or the other, people still feel that, no, I cannot go to any Nigerian tourist site, I cannot go to... And then
I think Africans, for generally, we have this power of what we have is this nomadic feeling. We want to explore places, right? And because we still have limited information of certain places in the continent, we tend to always see everything that we have as new, right? And then people need to get out of their comfort zones to get to see these places. But then again, you can also argue for mismanagement, right? Even the ones that try to make the effort, they don't put in that much essence for continuity. I remember when the Obudu Cattle Ranch happened, and then at some point it looked like it was going to go downturn, and then someone picked it up again. But the one that happened in Cross River, that one literally just died. And in my head, I'm like, these things are looking like novel ideas, novel projects that people can actually use to be proud of the culture on the continent. But I don't know. I think we don't necessarily plan for the future. We just plan for the now. And I think that's a drawback.
And we need to make money from those places. Very, very important. So joining us to delve deeply into this conversation is Odenike Oresonya, popularly known as Nike, a Nigerian travel and lifestyle creator who has explored all 36 states of Nigeria, the FCT, and 8 African countries. Armed with her mantra, faith over fear, she documents hidden gems and debunks myths such as Nigeria is unsafe or only the rich can travel. Her content reflects courage, affordability, and a deep love for showcasing God's green earth in its truest form. Nike's work reveals the power of digital storytelling in shaping Africa's identity while also creating new pathways for youth-led creative businesses. Her journey highlights how ordinary Africans can become active participants in domestic tourism, shifting perceptions and inspiring a generation of fearless explorers. Join me and welcome Nike. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How you doing?
I'm good.
How was getting to the studio?
No, it's fine. It's easy.
Yeah, your hair is beautiful even though I do not have one.
Thank you.
Okay, so we read about your travels, about your documentations or documentaries that you've created and all that. So let's, first of all, you're very young. What pushed you into that line, into that path of saying, I want to travel with all the shouting, Nigeria is unsafe, Nigeria is this and that and that and that. What made you say, okay, this is the path, I want to go into the path of tourism?
Okay, so yeah, I started like 2019, and I think it was NYSC. Okay. So I started serving 2018. I was posted to Akwa Ibom. At that time, I had a job in Lagos. Lagos is all I had known, so I was a bit, scared. I didn't want to start all over. I had a job, immediately after school, so I was very skeptical. I went for camp in Rivers State, and then I tried to redeploy back to Lagos. It didn't work. I only could do Oyo State, so I was like, fine. I still wanted to go state. So it was while I was in Ibadan, and I was like, oh my God, why was I scared in the first place? I felt like I was in love with the city. First of all, I had worked in Lagos, and I know how stressful it is commuting from all the way from Yanokwaja to Yaba. I know how long I spend on the road. I have to wake up early in the morning, get back late. And in Ibadan at that time, I will just 10 minutes, 5 minutes, you're already at work. And I'm like, why am I rushing back to that? Like, why am I rushing back to Lagos? I also used to hear that Ibadan was just brown roofs, right? People just assume it's local, there's nothing there, it's just people speaking Yoruba, and there's no civilization. But what I saw was different. I saw a highly developed city that could match up with Lagos and without the stress. So I'm like, and it's cheap again. I'm like, nah. There's a lot of education that needed to happen. So people were sympathizing with me for not being able to come back to Lagos, and I was sympathizing with them because they were the ones
get out.
They needed to get out.
Yeah.
So the more I got like, oh, you're in Ibadan, you're in the village, I'm like, no. So I had to, start showing them that this place is like, we just believe that life begins and ends in the box that we are, right? And not knowing that there's so many things to see. So from there, I started, going out and seeing more. Went to Ogun State. I'm like, so every new place I saw, I was always shocked. Like, why is nobody saying that? All those things. And I started going to tourist attractions. So that was when I realized that we needed to see as much as possible.
Okay, that's beautiful. I love the experiences. So your mantra, faith over fear. How did you develop that?
Okay, so I think I was basically living it, right? Every time I travel and I post places, I just hear negative news. Oh, be safe. Oh, why did you go here? Because I don't usually, say before I go. It's after I go that people now start. And I'm like, what I saw in reality was different from what you people are projecting. Also, in the media, they only talk about negative news, right? Negative news only sells. Like, they don't, for every...
We don't do negative news.
Nigeria has just been termed as this, ticking time bomb that you can't travel, especially the north. People feel like that's like, once you get there, you're going to be kidnapped, or you're not going to make it out alive. And to me, that's the place I loved the most in Nigeria, the north. So when I realized that all this, fear that we have is just a thing of the mind. It's just, they are not really, reality. For every one negative news you hear, there are like 100 positive people that have gone, and they're not talking about it because it doesn't, it's not a big deal.
Wow.
So have you got particular misconceptions that people share, and then, when you hear them, you're like, share some of those misconceptions?
Oh, yes, like, saying that road trip, you can't do road trips in Nigeria. All my travels was road trip, and I did not experience anything negative. In fact, especially in the north, they say that they are very, aggressive, and that's not true. They are like the sweetest, calmest people I've ever met, the Hausas. They're like the most hospitable people. They're the ones that treated me better than even down south, my own people over here. So things like that. Then also Borno, that's like one of my favorite states. Maiduguri, that city can match with Lagos. Like, it's beautiful, it's amazing. So things like that. Something happens in a village in Borno State, and you're like, oh, you can't go to that state anymore. So yeah, things like that.
I was going to say, out of you've gone through the entire 36 states.
Yes.
And I'm sure people that can boast of 36 states, the entire 200 million people are Nigerians, will not be up to 10. I'm probably have just been. But which of these, you mentioned Borno, right?
Yeah.
In all these places that you've been to, what stood out from each of these states that you've been in?
Okay,
what really stood out? Just pick a particular state and then tell me what stood out.
Oh, okay. So I think for me, Yobe, one thing that stood out was the hospitality. Most of the people did not understand English, but I still had a good experience. From the minute I stepped once I landed in Damaturu, I think there was a time I was trying to buy onions. I can't remember. Was it mangoes? But I wanted to buy the mango. I don't know what happened, but they were just offering me things. Like, when you are here and maybe I was tired or something, and somebody was like, do you need water? Somewhere from nowhere. So like those little things. And then they can't speak English, right? And we're speaking Hausa, and then we're using sign languages, and I don't feel like anybody is going to do anything to me.
Yes, okay, so traveling, you're in Yobe, you're in Benue, you're in Ibadan, you're in a good state. Is it that you have someone there who invites you over, or you just felt, okay, out of curiosity, let me just go?
Okay, yes.
What
great.
motivates you?
So I think the beginnings, I just went to, I'll go to places I can go and come back, the same day, start with day trips. Then along the line, if I had a friend in Delta State, so I'm like, oh, let me go visit my friend and then explore around. Okay. And because I was also documenting on my stories on Instagram, my community were, they were very enthusiastic. Like, oh, Abia State. You can come and stay with me. Yes.
Wow.
So most of the states I stayed with hosts. So either from friends of friends and new people, or from my Instagram community, or people I knew directly, or tour guides that I meet. So I think I only stayed in the hotel like 2 times in the entire trip.
When you go to those places, do you have a tour guide?
Sometimes
Okay.
I have tour guides.
Okay, so thank you for that. Now, when you're planning a journey, or many people feel that going on tourism, traveling is quite expensive. So because of that, I don't want to travel. Because of that, people are scared, the money involved and all that. So how do you manage the luxury, the little you have, yet you are still having a robust experience, living the kind of life you want to live when you get there without really breaking the banks?
Okay, so I think it's 2 things. The first thing I always say is that you cut your coat according to the clothes you have. So the material you have, if you have 20,000 naira, there's something that thing can do, right? So people just want to, I want to have this grandeur experience. If you have 50K, you can do something touristic with 50K. If you have 20K, you can do something. So I feel like whatever capacity you are at, just you do within that capacity. So that's how I started. The little money I had, my first trip was like 5K. Go to Olumoro, come back, and I had a swell time, right? So I was not looking for like a grandeur experience. So I want to travel, I want to go to Maldives. So whatever I had, I made sure I utilized what I had. So that's one thing. And the second thing is also, some people are vacationers, right? So I am not, primarily a vacationer. I want to experience as a, someone living in that place. Yeah. So if you're living in Lagos, what do you need? You just enter, transport. You do the basic things, right? You don't need to have a taxi that's taking you all around. You don't need a chauffeur. You don't need a private. So I think people just imagine that travel, because it's not in your home, it has to be crazy. Yeah. So I think one thing that helps is the fact that I want to go to Ondo State and experience life of people that are staying there. People that are staying there, they enter bikes, they do the regular thing, they go to the market, they go to, so I just, simplify it as possible. I don't make it look like it's one huge task. If I can't take a plane, I take a bus. If you cannot take a hotel, do an Airbnb or find someone that stays there. So there's always a way around it.
I think one of the things that makes your story, or your experience captivating is the way you tell the stories. Because somebody can go to a place and then not see what you see. I can, like you said, I cannot be a normal traveler. I just go to a particular place, do what I want to do, and then go. Yes. But for you, every step you take, you are looking at something around because it can be able to tell a story. And I think that is one of the standout features that you have. Because I remember watching one of your videos where you went to Ondo State. And then when you were telling the stories, I'm sure even people from Ondo State don't even know that they had these things. Yes. So how do you measure this? How do you measure that?
Okay, because I genuinely love the experience. I genuinely love that I'm here to take in anything I see. So I'm open to anything. I'm not going like, okay, you know how you are going to Osun State, these are the places you go, there's a list, right? And then you get to the bus park and you go there and you come back, right? It's very straightforward. So sometimes I just, like this Ondo State I went, I was very open to whatever, was there, or whatever I would see. So as I'm going on the journey, I'm talking to the locals, oh, I heard this thing. Is it true? Like, oh, yes, you can go here. And then next thing, I'm hearing someone telling me there's a floating village. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. Take me there. So I'm so open and so flexible to the experiences that the place has to offer, as opposed to me going with my expectations and just going to certain locations.
Well, I do like the fact that there's a story behind it, because essentially that is what stays beyond your just visiting. Yes. Somebody goes to watch it and then you shape the narrative, because essentially that is what we need to do. Africa needs to not just tell the story, but help to shape the narrative. So that anybody who's watching, you say, no, that places are not monkeys jumping from trees to trees. There are places where, even if they are riding bikes as the means of transportation, it is a way of life for them and it is okay. If we can tell that story, I think that is where we should be. But then again, what are the challenges we experience? in this your commute? Have you done outside Nigeria?
Yeah, it's African countries.
So, so I mean, what are the challenges you get to face? Because I just want to be like, apart from the budget part, how much am I going to spend? What do you get to see along the way? Those challenges that hits you, or the culture shock that hits you?
Okay, so I think major challenge would be the sadness that I feel when I get to locations that I feel that they could have done better. Like, I revisited Idonre Hills. This is a proposed UNESCO site. And the first time I visited was like years ago. And then it's still the same way I saw it. Like, there's nothing happening. Yeah. That place is so majestic. It's so beautiful. But, like, seeing that there's nothing done, there's no change, like, it's just the same way it is. So I think that's also something that affects us as, you know, Nigerians. We do not really value the things that we have. Yes, and we have a desert, we have blue rivers, we have basically everything. It's such a diverse country if you look at it. There's the rainforest, there's the savannah, there's everything, but we do not value it, especially the people in, you know how, so people don't imagine, like, people come to your place as travel too, right? So that means there's something in every place for people to come to. But because you are used to this environment, you're used to being in Nigeria, you're used to being in the West or whatever, you do not see it as a big deal. Meanwhile, people are traveling to come to your own city. So I think one of the challenges for me is the sadness I feel anytime I visit places that I feel like this has serious potentials. Other minor challenges would just be, you know, language barrier. And then also, there's the part where people do not understand, why am I traveling from Lagos to this village? Like, the villagers themselves, like, what are you doing here? Who's sponsoring you? So I see some skepticism in some people, like, who's sponsoring you? What are you, like, why are you here? What's your, are you a spy? Who comes to our village all the way from Lagos just for tourism? What's that? So, like, there's also that. And that also, you know, hinders the way they, you know, they are open to new experience, because it's just very new, so very weird for you to want to do that. So yeah, those are the minor challenges.
All right. Well, there are challenges in life generally, but we'll go on this quick break, and when we come back, Nike will still be in the studio to tell us more about tourism in Africa. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
The rise and fall of Nigeria Airways is a story steeped in mismanagement and missed opportunities. Established in 1958, Nigeria Airways, the national carrier, initially soared as a symbol of national pride. However, a series of missteps led to its unfortunate demise. In 2008, financial mismanagement became its Achilles' heel. The airline became bloated with an oversized workforce, hemorrhaging money on profitable routes while neglecting crucial safety maintenance. These issues stemmed from a lack of transparency and accountability. The government, as the majority owner, failed to implement proper checks and balances, allowing mismanagement to foster. Weak regulatory oversight likely played a part as well, with instances of impounded aircraft due to unpaid debts and safety concerns raised by international bodies. Ultimately, the crippling debt burden proved unsurmountable, forcing Nigeria Airways to cease operations, leaving a void and a valuable lesson for the future. This lack of transparency and accountability isn't unique to state-owned airlines. Several privately owned airlines have also suffered the same fate. Effective corporate governance, including robust financial management and adherence to safety regulations, is essential for any airline to succeed. The broader lesson here is the critical role of corporate governance in the aviation industry. Effective management, robust financial strategies, supportive economic policies, and modern infrastructure are crucial for the growth and success of airlines. Addressing these challenges requires a concerted effort from both the government and the private sector to foster.
Yeah, welcome back to Just Africa. We'll be having a robust topic with Nike, but before the conversation continues, we want you to follow us on all our social media platforms at Sook News TV. follow, share, like, comment, and of course, we will also ensure that your comments are read on this beautiful platform. So, Nika, the conversation is still around tourism, shaping the narratives, changing the narratives, I mean to say. Okay, so now, looking at Africa, you've traveled around Nigeria, you've gone to 8 countries in Africa. What country in Africa right now, the ones you've been to, do you think has the potential, untapped potential when it comes to tourism?
Untapped?
Yes.
I think Nigeria is the most untapped.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so why Nigeria?
Yes, I feel like we are the least country that takes tourism seriously. So yes, the most, very diverse, but like little, interest in tourism.
Wow.
Yeah,
but we have some nice tourist attraction centers. What happens to them? You get it?
Yeah, I get it, but then again, you say untapped.
Yeah,
it's just
untapped. So we have them, but like they could be more. We could have. I don't think we see tourism as much economic value as it should have.
Yeah.
So we have other countries like Kenya and South Africa. Like they pump so much into their tourism, especially Kenya. They do so much. They just know that they have gold and they want everybody to come and see the gold that they have.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so what do you think we are losing economically?
Yeah.
A lot. But I think we're losing a lot. We're losing a lot because there's so much. The sand dunes in Yobe State, is that not what people go to Dubai to go and just dive into the sand dunes?
And we have it here.
And we have it. It's like very, very raw and, even to even get there, that's, the hassle. We don't even have enough infrastructure for someone to even say how to go to Yobe State. You have to travel for so long. The roads are bad, So it doesn't even, aid tourism.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, if you're going to advise governments and the government, because I'm talking about the states, locals, and then the federal government, what would be your message to them?
Okay.
How can they help?
So I would want them to at least channel 20% of the interest they have.
20.
Just 20 of the one they have in petroleum. Just channel 20% of that energy.
How did they arrive at that figure? 20%.
So I'm trying to say, that's how bad it is. If they can just, I'm not even asking for channel 100% of your focus or even half of the focus you have on petroleum right now. Just a little bit more. Just pump a little bit. 20% into tourism. See it as something that can bring in more value than petroleum. And I feel like they would do better. From each state, what are the tourism potentials? Even if you just pick one destination per state, that is a lot. I know Lagos tourism is trying right now. Trying to
December. So
exactly. So we have that. But then even at that, how are we managing the living conditions of those people that are living in Lagos? Because we know how hectic December is when that thing happens. Prices of things go up, traffic is crazy. So it's like, how do we now manage that thing? If we are saying, okay, this is tourism, that want to now do tourism, how are you going to do it? You cannot just say, okay, come into our country and you're not ready to have people into your country.
I think there are little cues that African countries have tried to explore. For example, Rwanda had to go into partnership with Arsenal. Everybody literally watches, I said everybody, but that's an exaggeration. Everybody watches football. And then you're watching Arsenal, that is one of the biggest football clubs in the world. And then you're seeing Visit Rwanda on the jersey.
True.
Right?
True.
I mean, how all those little cues sell countries? True. How can, not say Nigeria, but then again, how can African countries do this? To make people know they exist. Because I'm sure many people will be hearing, there's a Seychelles as an African country. Because it sounds very Asian. But there's a Seychelles as an African country. There's a Mauritania, that's an African country. Some people don't even know African countries that they even have. And they're on the continent with them.
True.
How much education do you think we need to have? Or what can we do?
I don't know, it's a lot. That's why I feel like it starts with interest. If you're interested in making it work, we always find ways to make it work, especially as Nigerians. Nigerians in other African countries, if we want to start something, we're the ones that thrive the most. So I feel like if we just have that interest in, building what we have, or even knowing what we have, because there's knowing.
There's knowing, and
then there's building. Many of us don't even know what we have. So the more, that's why we try to tell stories, we try to showcase, and I feel like it's getting better, but we're, it's a very slow pace right now. So we just need to talk more, show more, and hopefully have governments and then also private people, partner with the government. Because I feel like maybe government may not be able to do the business alone. They can just support or back private individuals to make things work.
Okay, so I know we are running out of time, but I want to ask this important question. Because you're changing the narrative from unsafe country or unsafe continent to a safe one. Now, are you saying this because out of optimism or because that is actually the reality? Because that is the story you're painting for the rest of the world, which is a beautiful one anyways, but is that really the reality? Would you say that it is really, really safe for Nigerians to travel?
Within Nigeria.
Within Nigeria, or Africans, let's not limit it to Nigeria.
Okay, Africans, yes. That is my reality, and that is what I'm showcasing. So it's just like saying, let me give you a quick backstory. So I've discovered recently when I went to East Africa that West Africa is considerably safer than East Africa, but nobody talks about it. In Uganda, I was almost robbed of my phone in broad daylight at a tourist attraction. They stole my tripod. But this is not something that will happen in a tourist attraction in Nigeria or in West Africa.
Okay.
That is something I found out by going there. But they don't paint that narrative. Even in Kenya, they do a lot of phone snatching. They always want tourists, hold your phone. Even if you're in your car, don't be pressing it near the window. But nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
That is something, even in these countries you see as they are really doing well, they have insecurity. But I don't know what it is with Nigeria, but we just want to paint that as the only narrative. Nowhere is 100% safe. Even the US. We know this, but we do not always, when you brand it, you just say, okay, Nigeria is unsafe. So that's what I'm trying to say. Nigeria was safer to me, and it's safer to Africans than some countries in East Africa.
Okay, all right. There is a young 50 years old girl watching right now who really want to tour your path right now. They want to become someone who travels for the experience, for the knowledge, for everything. But for one reason or the other, the young girl is being held back. Maybe she's scared of something or whatever. So what advice do you have for such a person right now?
Okay, first thing I would say is begin from where you are. No matter how small it looks, no matter how small it sounds, begin from where you are. That is where I started. If you are in Lagos State, begin from Lagos State. If you are in this local government, go to a park in the local government. That's how you build momentum. That's how you get that courage. When you go small, you feel, oh, I did it well. Then you keep going, keep going, keep going. So start from where you are. Start from your state, then go to neighboring states. I believe in little drops of water. So that is, before you know it, you look back and like, oh my God, I've gone this far. So do baby steps. Start from where you are. Start with the money you have. Start with anything. Just start. That's what else.
Where are you going to next?
I'm hoping to go to Tanzania.
Tanzania. Okay, maybe.
I wasn't going to just because, you mentioned you've seen young people starting small and all, but you mentioned community earlier, that your community sometimes supports you and all. How has the reception been, and then how large has it been growing over the years?
Okay, to my surprise, I did not even realize that I was going to be full-time in this, right? I just was passionate about seeing more, and I wanted to be a newscaster, funny enough. So when I started, I just wanted to, because I didn't like my 9 to 5 then, and I just wanted to see more. And before I knew it, I fell in love and just kept going. And right now, it has been, I was so surprised. The more I share my stories, the more people are interested, the more my audience is growing, and then brands are coming. I'm like, okay, now this is a full-time job.
Wow.
So yeah, it was very interesting.
Yes, I really wanted to ask about brand collaboration. If there is anyone that is sponsoring you now, and maybe they're looking for more people to sponsor.
Okay, well, not really sponsor, right? For me, brands just pay me for me to do videos for them.
Okay.
And I think one brand that's been really, really supportive was MTN, because I did not have so much followers, and they are interested in showcasing Nigeria. So they just wanted me to do videos showcasing Nigeria. So I think that was something that even enabled me at the beginning, because I saw that they wanted me to make videos of what I already wanted to do, and they wanted to pay me for those videos. So that was what gave me the courage to keep going and keep going. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nika. We really appreciate your time on the show, and your insights are so beautiful. We appreciate you. And I hope when we call on you next time, you'll be available for it.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you so much. Amolo, what do you think?
I'm going to have to start to travel. Maybe every weekend. As she already said it, I start from your small community. Maybe I'll move from one local government to another. By the time I do that, who knows, maybe somebody will not carry me outside the country. That's what we're all hoping to get to. But one thing I always appreciate is the fact that when you go to other places, your worldview changes. You no longer see yourself from one small spot. You get to think outside the box. You learn to appreciate other people's culture, difference in opinion. It makes you a better person, because even man was not even created to be in one place. So I think more of us need to travel to get more worldview.
Yeah, that's what she actually said. So the old map of Africa with just a few destinations marked is fading. In its place, a new, vibrant, and endlessly detailed map is being drawn, not by outsiders, but by the chefs, the artists, the storytellers, the surf instructors, and the tech entrepreneurs right here at home. A very big thank you to our guests, Lucas Imodi, that's King Lou during the first segment, and Odenike Ores Sonia. I hope I didn't murder that. For the beautiful insights, and many thanks to you, our dear viewers, for staying with us. Once again, you can follow us on all our social media platforms at Sook News TV. I am Omivi Idolo. Until next week, have an amazing weekend.
And I am Emmanuel Amalo. Wonderful to always be here. We'll see you again next week with more interviews.
Anthony Onyemaechi Elumelu was born on the 22nd of March 1963 in Jos, North Central Nigeria, to Susanna Dominic Elumelu, originally from Delta State. Tony earned a degree in economics from Ambrose Ali University, where he laid the foundation for his future career, and then furthered his education at the University of Lagos, where he obtained a master's degree in economics. His academic journey also includes attending the Harvard Business School, where he completed the Owner of President Management program, equipping him with advanced business management skills. Tony currently serves as the chairman of Heirs Holdings, Transcorp, and United Bank for Africa, UBA, demonstrating his significant influence in the banking and investment sector. He founded the Tony Elumelu Foundation, which aims to empower African entrepreneurs through comprehensive training, mentorships, and funding opportunities. In addition to his professional achievements, he's also a family man, married to Dr. Adele Vivian Elumelu, and together they have 7 children. In 2020, his efforts were acknowledged when he was named one of Time's 100 most influential people in the world. Anthony Elumelu's net worth is estimated to be around $700 million, a testament to his successful ventures and strategic investments. Elumelu continues to be a driving force in the business world, advocating for sustainable economic growth and empowering the next generation of African entrepreneurs.
Well, Supporters Club had been there for 66 years when it was founded officially, but those who founded it were just doing it for the fun. We just come to the field, drum, sing and go. Nobody gave them any recognition. But I joined them in the year 1977. Well, I paid 2 naira to join. And how did I join? It was because of an incident that happened at the National Stadium. The Shooting Stars of Ibadan and the Bendel Insurance of Benin were playing the semi-final of the FA competition that year. And I had to go to enter the stadium. I paid 4 naira to watch the game. But while entering the stadium, the whole place was filled. And when I got inside, there was no place for me to sit down. So many of us were standing out there, people outside the gate of the stadium. There were more than the people right inside. So as at a point in time, while standing, some people just took me off ground and threw me into the crowd. And I started rolling until I landed on the culvert, concrete. Concrete. But through the grace of God, I was able to wriggle out myself of that position.
I was born on the 16th day of October, 63 years ago. I'm from Opobo, yeah, and went to school. I'm from Rivers State, from Opobo in Rivers State. Went to school in Port Harcourt, lived in Port Harcourt all my life, from primary to secondary school to A-levels. Then after A-levels, I got admission to Unilag. Immediately after Unilag, I got married, and I've lived in Lagos ever since. Well, it was fun for us because me and my husband were very young. My husband was 25, I was 21 and all that. But we learned on the job. We were friends. We were friends for 3 years when I was in Unilag, university, and we came out, we got married. So we're like children that just got married. But I had my parents. My parents were his very good friends. So when I get naughty, he would report me to my parents. When I didn't know these kind of duties were demands of somebody's wife, they would tell me this is my responsibility. I'm like, nope. I will agree to some, I will not agree to some. But I mean, it was fun. We had our ups and downs, but kind of pushed through it. And then the children started coming, and it was a different ballgame. You know, when you come from that kind of family, it's like part of your system. You don't really regard it as anything anymore. But sometimes I get the shock of my life because there was a time my in-laws came to Opobo for one ceremony, and I saw the king. And he gave me a hug and he gave me a pick, and they were like, whoa, the upper Benin won't even shake your hand, you know, as a woman. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's the same family, you understand? So we're used to that. I think we take it for granted. But maybe some other people say, you must call me a princess, you must call me that. I'm not into all those kind of things. I'm not at all, I've never been. So I can't start tomorrow. But yeah, great King Jaja of Opobo, my great-great-grandfather. And my children, when they studied it in school, they went to Corona school. So they came, Mom, we're telling our teacher and our classmates that this King Jaja of Opobo, they told them about King Jaja of Opobo in school. And they said, that's my mommy's great-grandfather. Like, whoa, no, it was like a big deal to them. For us, Absolutely, upbringing and my personal choice too, because you could be brought up one way and choose to go another way. You understand? One of my philosophies in life is like this: you're not the tallest in the world, you're not the shortest, you're not the prettiest, you're not the ugliest, you're not the richest, you're not the poorest. Oh, of course, get with it. Do you understand? If you're looking for beauty, there are more beautiful women than you. So if you're looking for ugly, there are uglier women. If you're looking for tall, you're looking for rich. So what is it? Do you understand? You didn't come into this world with anything. You're not going to go with anything. So just be grateful to God for whatever you have or whatever you are. Work towards improving on it, improving your relationship with God Almighty and improving your relationship with your fellow human beings. That's my philosophy in life. So what's the point of carrying all the air and chips on your shoulder? It makes life heavier for you. Seven is my favorite number. It's a number for perfection, and I was born on the 16th of October. My star sign is Libra. We're always looking for perfect balance in everything. It's just an influence from the horoscopes, I'm told. But J is my husband's name, D is my name, and 7 is my favorite number. Lazy way of forming the name of a company, isn't it? So I did, and it stuck. And I knew I was going to go into couture, so that was it. Easy. I was a victim of circumstances. I keep saying it. I didn't really come into business to be a fashion designer, to go into fashion, and creativity has always been something that's innate. Okay, even before I started making clothes or doing this, I used to always give designers the styles that I want them to make for me. I didn't have tailors. But when I finished my NYSC at Nigerian Television Authority in Victoria Island, I decided I wasn't going to work there. I wanted to work in a more organized setup. You understand? When the international directors come in, we used to be the ones to host them with all the Unilever affiliates. Linters, the advertising agency used to be here, all the Nigerian breweries, USC, you understand, AJC, we're all in the Unilever group. Sometimes I won't get home until 3 a.m. when we're hosting, and with kids in the house, it can be a bit much. So I'm like, I prayed about it and I decided something has to give. It's either your family, your children will not give them the attention they need then, and they were growing fast, or your job will suffer, and then you will not be happy, whichever way. So I decided, you know what, let my priority be my family, and I decided to go back, and I put in my resignation. That was not what I'm fine. When I did, my chairman refused to accept the resignation, so I had to use another way to encourage him to accept it. So I left Unilever. I said, okay, I wasn't the type of person that was suited for being a housewife. I wanted to do the kind of business I would do, but still have 100% time for the kids. So when the kids said they're having something in school, I'm there, okay? I decided I was going to just market corporate gifts. When I was in Unilever, I was the assistant corporate affairs manager in charge of press. So, and being in Unilever at the corporate affairs level, I already knew a lot of companies. So I used that opportunity to get back to those companies and introduce my new business. And in the first year, I actually made more money than my 5-year stint in Unilever. So that was the normal encouragement. You make more money doing your own business. You have more time for your kids, for your family, and for yourself. And you travel quite a bit because you have to go and buy the corporate gifts. So it was a win-win. Then, a few years down the line, the president, Olusegun Obasanjo, came in and said they were doing backward integration and they were going to stop the importation of all this corporate gifts and a lot of other things. So we were actually forced to look inwards. And when we started looking inwards, that's when it hit me that apart from Big, that was being produced by Eleganza, we're not really manufacturing anything in Nigeria apart from textiles and maybe I think Eleganza was doing food flask or something. Which corporate body do you want to give as end of year gift? So what we had to do now, because a lot of my clientele were like Shell, Chevron, I started looking inwards. I said, okay, if I have to do something, I can do beddings, pillowcase trimmings, table covers, table placemat, napkins with fabrics like ashok and adira. I can do jute bags, you know. It came to me. So I had to go and buy one machine and employed one tailor. So sometimes they will call me. I did some samples. So when, even in Abuja, when they were going to have, like I remember the West African Women's Affairs, they had a conference. So they wanted jute bags, and we had about 1,000 or 2,000 jute bags, and that was quite nice. Plus, apart from the end of year, so that's it. But you know, after those periods, you have periods of lull, like you're not using the machine and the tailor. You have to be paying tailor for doing it. I'm like, why am I going to these people to make my clothes? Tailor, oh yeah. This is the style I want. I started first by giving some of my clothes, repeat it. You did well. So I started designing. I could sketch very well. I was a science student in school, but I could sketch really well. So I was sketching, would do well. And sometimes when I wear the clothes and I go to supermarket, some women will just call me, hey, I really like this thing you're wearing. Please, where did you make it? I'm like, okay, I'll give you the address. I give them the address. They started coming. Before I could say that, within 1 month, I had over 50 women I had to make clothes for. And the one tailor was no longer enough. I had to employ 2 others. That was how we started. From 2 to 4, then I had a whole factory before you could see that. I started making school uniforms, started doing all kinds of things. And then some of the magazines, like Genevieve magazine, looked at me and like, are you sure you make this outfit? I thought you were a broadcaster. I thought you sell. I said, yes, I did. So I did some photo shoot session for her, and I modeled the clothes actually. And whoa, I started getting calls from Paris, from the UK. I did DC Fashion Week, you know. I was just, and they will pay your ticket, pay your hotel, please come and showcase for us. Some will even say, please come and open the show for us. Some say, we want you to close this. I'm like, okay. There are places that I would never have thought of going to, like Burkina Faso. They will back me the top fashion designers there when the Alfadi does this thing once every 4 years. Alfadi in Niger. The Niger government sponsors it. He calls all, including Elisab, every international designer, they will go, especially the Moroccan ones, those North African ones, Indians. So they invite one designer from each country. So they used to call me to come because of what I used to work a lot with Ankara and Ashok, and I do international acclaimed, how would I put it, couture outfits with Ankara, big hats, funny looking, structured clothes and all that. So that was how it went, you know. And I did all the magazines. I've won all the awards. So after a while, you know, I started thinking of concentrating on exports. In the process of doing that, my husband took ill. After 2 years, we lost him. So when I came back home, I gave a lot of things a lot of thought. My kids were still in school. My daughter got married. She was in Australia already. And then my kids, my two boys were still in school. So I said, look, this fashion design thing, it's not going to pay school fees in pounds sterling and dollars. So I said to myself, you know what? Why don't you give the man hours to the industry, the family business that were yielding the most income? That was how I started kind of just saying, you know what, let me just minimize it a bit. My core clients were still coming. So I kept the tailors, my experienced tailors that worked with for years. I kept few of them. And I kind of cut down on that business. I said, you know what, let me just go and face the family business and do this for the people who really know what I'm doing. And word of mouth goes. So I'm still doing that, but my priority is really not that, you know. When you look at me the first time you see me, you see a fragile woman that don't like to sweat, that's spoiled, that like to be kept. I'm like, what? Absolutely not. My husband didn't want me to do anything. He just felt he wanted to spoil me. I said, that's not how to love me at all. Please. It's either you kind of understand the person I am. I'm a very creative mind. This mind has to keep working, or I'll make life miserable for you, you know. What I will advise, even women who are willing to work, you don't even do one job. You must get at least more than 2 streams of income. Otherwise, you will not make ends meet. That is the truth of today's world. You understand? Then those ones that want to be kept, no matter how wealthy your husband is, wealth is not static. Some people start today. When they retire, everything goes downhill. Some people mean well, they love you, they want to take care of you, but nature calls. They part ways. Some marry other women, some leave, some die. You understand? So anything can happen. I will advise them, everybody, try to be as independent as you can. Financially independent. I think you actually earn more respect when you do that. And then also, when things don't work out too well for the husband, no matter how rich you are, you don't have to put him through too much stress. You can take care of yourself, you take care of him, you encourage him, but let him not feel that the world has come to an end. You know, a man feels happy when he knows that his back is covered, even when he's not making it. You understand? It doesn't make him lazy. It makes him very grateful. Yeah. So I will advise everybody, get something doing. Do something that will enable you earn good income if you can. Do something that you also enjoy doing. I've always believed in garbage in, garbage out. Yeah? Garbage in is the stress abound. You cannot control that. But you can control your attitude towards stress. Stress is the #1 killer and ages of everything in this world. It's your attitude to stress that you have to manage, and that depends on you. What you put in your mouth also depends on you. your mind, your heart, your spirit, your soul. You have to be loving. You have to be forgiving. You understand? All that depends on you. So it's actually you that decides whether you're going to age gracefully or you're not. Forget about the genes first. It's true. You understand? Some people are so malicious. When you offend them, oh my goodness. They will carry it in their chest, and the chest will be expanding, and they won't sleep well, and they begin to have problems. Meanwhile, the person you're angry with does not even know you exist. It's crazy. So for me, it's just be free and take life easy. Take it as it comes, and always be grateful to God. I'm too honest and straightforward. It's either I will be killed immediately, or because I will tell you the truth, no matter who's asked is God. I don't think I can play politics. I'm not a politician at all. I am a very straight shooter. I will tell you to your face when you're doing stupid things. That was my relationship with my mom, my dad, my husband. So most times, I'm the last girl in the house, so maybe when they were disciplining the first ones, by the time they got to my turn, they were a bit tired. So we could talk to my parents anyhow. But I don't do it to create whatever. I just feel that if anybody worth talking to, is worth talking to with honesty and integrity. And when you want to play politics, they will see something that is black. They will say it's yellow. I can't do that. For the love of me, I can't. So politics is not my call. And because of that, they will not allow your creativity to come out, your sincerity. What's the point? Yes. I'm actually planning some kind of... I met some of my old models that are doing very well. And when you deal with a lot of these girls, some of them have traveled with me to Niger. Sometimes they'll tell you, bring 2 of your models. Some of them, we have very good relationship. We're going to do a reunion one of these days. It will be fun. And they are all calling, when are we going to do this? I say, don't worry, we'll get a reunion done. Because we need to revisit the fashion industry, see how things are going. They're doing well. The new ones are doing well. And I just pray that the environment will not discourage them, It's not just Nigeria, it's the world. Whatever is happening in Nigeria is what the truth is. A crate of egg in Nigeria is still cheaper than a crate of egg in the US and in the UK, even with the exchange rate. So it's not just Nigeria, the world is experiencing some kind of... The way I see it is like the pangs of birth before the child finally comes. That intense labor. And then when the child is born, everything is calm and beautiful, everybody's happy. I think we are just towards the end of the labor pain. It's going to get better, but we're going to pass through a lot of that before it gets better. And when it finally gets better, we'll all be smiling. But right now, the whole world, not just Nigeria, is crazy. If you look at international, listen to international news, it's actually crazier than here. I just pray. Yes, I live opposite. I won't even say it. On the street, one of the big men that live on that street, his birthday was yesterday, and the whole street was filled with beggars, hungry people. It was really crazy. I felt so bad. We were pushing each other, killing each other, fighting just to get a plate of jollof rice. It was very sad. It didn't used to be that bad. There were a few people who would come hang around, but the whole street, I couldn't move anywhere yesterday because of it. But I hope it gets better soon, so that the best in all of us can come out. Because hunger and poverty can actually bring out the worst in people. Naturally, yes. I have an NGO that I do. What I do, I take girls young girls that are not able to complete school because of poverty, and I educate them. You understand? I try to pay school fees, help people. I believe in education a lot. Yeah, because I don't believe in giving you the fish. I believe in teaching you how to fish. I have few of them from my place come stay with me. Some of them are able to stand the discipline. Some of them are not able. So the ones that are able to stay, they stay, and they do very well. Some of them I train from a distance and they do well. So I've had university graduates, I have A-levels, I have all kinds of things. That's what I do. And most people come to me naturally, not because I'm a trained mentor or anything. When you do anything out of love, and out of sincerity of purpose, and because they see you as genuine, they listen to you. You understand? When you mean well, you tell people the honest truth, and they, it's not easy sometimes, but yes, a kind of mentor.
Rising demand for healthy proteins, snail-based cosmetics, and export opportunities have driven a surge in Nigeria's snail farming industry, far outpacing local production and opening a significant gap for investors to fill. Snail farming, or heliculture, is rapidly emerging as a profitable agribusiness in Nigeria, offering sustainable solutions to food security, poverty reduction, and income generation. Rich in protein and essential nutrients, snails are incredibly sought after, fueled by a growing population, a rising interest in healthy diets, and their status as a prized delicacy in Nigerian cuisine. This expanding industry promotes substantial economic opportunities for both farmers and investors. There is a huge and growing demand for snails, which are regarded as a luxury cuisine due to their nutritional benefits. The snail industry in Nigeria is estimated at over 15 billion naira, and the business can be started with little capital. Snail farming is one of the most sustainable and money-spinning agribusiness that many people ignore. For salary earners and investors wanting to increase their income, it's an excellent choice, while it's not time-consuming and highly profitable. Agricultural experts have emphasized the export potential of snails and have urged investors and companies to seize the opportunity, as it was a lucrative venture with strong export prospects due to high global demand. According to them, the market exists, but what is needed was increased production by mobilizing people to invest and scale up production. Snail farming is emerging as one of the most accessible agribusiness opportunities in Nigeria due to its low capital requirement and high profit potential. With an initial investment as modest as 50,000 to 100,000 naira, the business offers the potential to grow as high as 5 million naira annually. Setting up a small farm is both affordable and straightforward. Basic materials like corrugated sheets, baskets, old tires, or wood are sufficient to construct a functional snail pen. Feeding is also budget-friendly, making the overall startup cost even more appealing. A bag of snail feed is between 10,000 and 16,000 naira per 25 kg, and you can use just 2 bags to feed 50 snails for 3 months. Everything needed for snail feeding has been provided by nature. Nature itself provides most of what snails need to survive, from vegetables to watermelons and even leftover foods. One crucial factor, however, in successful snail farming is choosing the right species. Agricultural experts recommended going for the giant African land snails, which come in 3 main species. Aricantina marigata lays between 6 and 14 eggs up to 4 times a year. Achatina achatina produces 80 to 350 eggs per clutch and lays 1 to 3 times annually. And the most profitable among them all, Achatina fuka, can lay between 100 and 400 eggs, as many as 6 times a year. Despite Achatina fuca's prolific breeding, experts tend to favor Achatina mariganta as it is considered the largest land snail in the world, and its size and market appeal make it a favorite among both farmers and consumers. According to experts, Achatina also remains a strong choice, particularly due to its adaptability to the African climate. The global snail market reached $647.4 million in 2024 and is projected to grow from $706.7 million in 2025 to $1.4 billion by 2034, according to Global Market Insight, a market intelligence platform. France leads global production with over 300,000 tons annually, followed by Italy and Spain producing 20,000 and 15,000 tons respectively, solidifying Europe's dominance in the snail farming industry. Chiki Okulu, Souk News TV.
In April 1960, just months before Nigeria's independence, a 26-year-old ascended one of the most revered thrones in Yoruba land. His name, Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetona. His reign, almost 65 years. His legacy, a modernized crown, a globalized culture, and an unwavering voice for truth. Born 10th of May 1934 into the royal house of Anikinaya to Prince Rufai Adetono Adeleke and Ajibabi Adetono Ne Onashile, Sikiru Kayode Adetono's royal destiny was set early. He attended Baptist School, Ereko, in 1943, Ogbere United Primary School, and Ansarudin School, Ijebu-Ode, before enrolling at Oluiwa College, now Adeola Odutola College, from 1951 to 1956. He later worked briefly in the audit department of the Western region in Ibadan, before leaving for the United Kingdoms in 1958 to study accountancy. But history had other plans. On the 2nd of April 1960, he was installed as the 58th Awujale of Ijebu land, taking the regnal name Ogbagba Agbotewole II. Young, confident, and stepping into leadership just as the new Nigeria was emerging, marking the beginning of one of the longest and the most consequential reigns in Nigeria's history. Despite his demanding role, Oba Adetono maintained close family ties. He was married and blessed with children, who were raised in the blend of royal tradition and modern education that defined his worldview. Known to be a devoted family man, he valued privacy in personal matters, but ensured his children had opportunities for education both within and outside Nigeria. Socially, he was at ease in multiple worlds, equally comfortable in palace courts, university lecture halls, diplomatic gatherings, or informal community events. He cultivated friendships across business, politics, and academia, yet was deeply rooted in his hometown, often mingling with his people during festivals and communal projects. The coup that saved a king. But destiny tested him. In the early 1980s, a government commission of inquiry moved against him. Suspension and deposition loomed. The order was to take effect in early 1984. Then came 31st December 1983. A military coup swept away the civilian administration, and with it, the threat to his throne. The Awujale returned more respected, more resolute. Beyond royal ceremonies, Oba Adetona built a reputation as a monarch unafraid to challenge authority. He spoke plainly on governance, justice, and public accountability. In 2016, he institutionalized those ideas by endowing a 250 million naira professorial chair in governance at Olabisi Onabanjo University, OOU, the first of its kind by a Nigerian traditional ruler. It was a deliberate investment in shaping ethical leadership for generations to come. The Oju Dioba Festival long predicted his reign, but under Adetona, it became an international spectacle, a celebration of Ijebu identity, Yoruba elegance, interfaith harmony, and cultural soft power. It drew politicians, captains of industry, global tourists, and the diaspora to Ijebu each year, making it both a cultural statement and an economic engine. Adetona presided over a kingdom of religious plurality, Islam, Christianity, and traditional worship, often using his platform to advocate tolerance. Though a devout Muslim and president of the United Muslim Council, he regularly attended Christian events and encouraged interfaith harmony. And now, the final chapter. On 13th July 2025, Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetona Ogbagba Agbotewole II passed away at the age of 91. He was buried according to Ijebu customs in solemn rites, shielded from public view. Attention now turns to succession and the weight of following one of Nigeria's longest-serving traditional rulers. Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetona reigned across three Nigerias: the colonial twilight, the start of military rule, and the promises and failures of democracy. He proved that a throne could be modern without losing its roots, bold without losing its identity, and proud. His voice will echo in the university lectures he inspired, the festival he globalized, the cultural pride he nurtured, and in the personal values he instilled in his family. As Ijebuland turns the page, one question lingers: whether or not the next Awujale will match relevance with integrity and tradition with transformation, following the path of the past hero. Grace Komolafe, Soko Perspective.
makes a hole in a stone, not by force, but by consistent dripping. Nothing describes this woman more apt than her indomitable and consistent drive for excellence. Born Bilikisu Abiodun Moturayo Omobalanle Adekola on December 24, 1962, into the family of Alhaji Abdulmoshood Adekola, the first grandson of the first Alhaji in the city of Ibadan, and a Cameroonian mother, Mrs. Hannah Aduke Adekola, in the ancient city of Ibadan, Oyo State. While her mother was still pregnant with her, left for England to further his education. And while she was pretty much young, her mother left the country to go join her husband, to return while she was 8 years. Meanwhile, she was left to be cared for by her grandmother. She was registered in a private boarding primary school at the age of 4.
My parents had me. My father went off to England to go to school before I was born. He left my mother pregnant with me. My mother had me, and before I was a year old, left to join her husband in England, and I was left with my grandmother. I grew up with my grandmother before my parents came back like 8 years after. Spent my first, from about age 4 or 5, I was sent into a boarding nursery school. I lived in boarding school at a very early age because my parents wanted to protect me from becoming a local Ibadan girl.
And she usually attributes these to her early independence and wisdom. Omo Agbanimi, some of her friends sometimes poke fun at her wisdom, which is way beyond her age.
I was raised by my grandmother, so I'm a bit of an old woman in my brain, in how I think, as my friends say.
Her foray into business started at a very young age at her grandmother's shop where she sells salt. Little did she know that this was going to stand her in good stead in life.
My first exposure to business was my grandmother's little shop where she sold salt. And I used to love to sit behind her little kiosk and help her to sell the salt. But who knew I was being trained for business in my future?
While at secondary school, she participated in the literary debating group, excelling in it, which made her consider a career in law, though that didn't last. Also, it is worthy of note that Ibukun Awoshika could hold her own in athletics, earning her the nickname Rabbit because she could really run.
As an athlete, if you want to run, and I used to be fast, they used to call me the Rabbit.
Unsure of what career path she was going to settle for, she considered becoming many things at one point or the other of her life. After secondary school, she thought of becoming a medical doctor, but she couldn't stand the sight of a cadaver, so she let go of that idea. Later on, architecture was another fancy that caught her attention. Similarly, she also considered becoming a chartered accountant. Finally, only see she could work in a bank.
I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Then I found out that they work with real dead bodies. I changed my mind very quickly. I then thought, you know what? I'd like to be an architect. I was good in sciences and had a problem if parents sentence you to science when you're good at both. So I ended up in Ife to study chemistry. By the end of my first year, I realized how much I hated chemistry. I could pass it, but I didn't love it. So then I thought, you know, I'd make a good lawyer. I debated throughout school. I used to represent my school in school's debate. So everybody knows that I can win an argument. So I gave it everything trying to change to law. I used to go and sit outside the door of the dean of law. And then one day the man said, come, what do you want? I want to change to law. Is that why you've been sitting outside of my office? Yes, sir. Okay, if I only take one person from another department next year, it will be you.
After the completion of her undergraduate degree at the University of Ife, she went for the compulsory one-year National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, in Kano State, where she worked as an audit trainee at Akitola Williams & Co., which later became Deloitte.
For youth service, I did everything to make sure they sent me to an accounting firm. They first sent me to a Muslim school to go and teach. That was easy to solve. I just wore a dress off my shoulder. I went to report. I was immediately rejected. Once they rejected me, I went back to the posting room and waited there for days until they sent me to Akintola Williams & Co.
Although she was later given full employment after her service year, she felt becoming an accountant wasn't a thing.
You would have thought that having gone through all that trouble, accounting would be the love of my life. When I got there, within the 1 year of my youth service, I realized how boring accounting is to me. Because they had all the processes somebody else had thought about before. All I had to do was open old dusty files from company to company without imagination or initiative. I'm a very restless human being. That was not going to work. So I finished the work. I did well. They offered me permanent employment, but I said, thank you, but no thank you. Why? Because at that moment, I had come to a realization that that was not the vision for my life.
After returning home, she joined Alibert Nigeria Limited, a furniture company, as showroom manager. In a word, only to kill time. She only stayed for 3.5 months. She left to begin a furniture manufacturing company called Quibis Limited in 1989, just a month before her 26th birthday. The company later grew into Sokor Chair Center Limited, following a venture merger with Sokor SA and Guarantee Trust back in 2004.
But the first job I could find 1 week after was in a furniture company. So I went there to kill time. My kill time project has resulted in 30 years of investment of my life in building a manufacturing group in furniture. So it was never the plan of my life. So some of you will accidentally find your purpose.
One could only wonder what had led her not only to compete, but to thrive in a male-dominated terrain. With over 30 years in business, Ibukun Awoshika is a woman to reckon with, encouraging more women to participate in the business terrain. Her passion to see the girl child not just to be educated, but much more to learn to own our own value and trade with it when there is need for it. Her lifelong ambition is to see herself die empty.
My biggest ambition in life is to die empty. Totally empty. That no talent, no giftings, no opportunities, nothing that I was born to do, that I have the capacity to do, that I do not do.
Following her remarkable achievements, she's been conferred with different doctorates, including one in business, entrepreneurship, and human capacity development from the Lagos State University, Ojo. Similarly, she was given a honorary doctorate of business administration from the Obafemi Awolowo University and another from the Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwoye, Ogun State. Apart from our entrepreneurial prowess, Ibukun Awoshika is an ordained minister of the gospel, a presenter, writer, and a TV host.
The Bible tells us that let every man be what? A liar. And let who alone be true? Let God alone be true.
She hosts a television program called Business His Way. Also, she acted in the 2020 Kunle Afolanyo movie titled Citation, which in addition to the book she had written, including Business His Way, The Girl Entrepreneur, The Girls in the Boardroom, and My Thoughts in Codes. In 2004, she earned a certification in Business Administration and Management from the IESE Business School. She's also the chairperson of the Novel Nigeria Office for Philanthropy and Impact Investment. She has consistently encouraged women to take up more leadership positions without compromising their values and integrity. In 2005, she was appointed the MD CEO of Socor SA of France, GTB PLC, the Chair Center Limited, and some local investors after the ban of the importation of furniture by the federal government of Nigeria in 2004. Furthermore, it is noteworthy to note that she independently established another ultra-modern furniture facility, Furniture Manufacturers Mart in Ikeja, Lagos. In 2008, she was among 5 Nigerian entrepreneurs who appeared in the first African version of the Dragon's Den. Unlike a great deal of others who knew exactly what they wanted to do from the beginning, she admitted to accidentally finding purpose. Ibukun Awoshika is a member of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, a member of the board of Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund, a former chairperson of the board of trustees of Women in Management, Business and Public Service, and a member of the IESC's International Advisory Board. Furthermore, she sits on the board of Digital Jura Limited and Cabri Nigeria PLC. Additionally, she's a fellow of the African Leadership Initiative and Aspen Global Leadership Network. History was made on the 7th day of September 2015. Following the resignation of Prince Ajibola Afonja, she became the first female chair of the First Bank of Nigeria in its 126 years of existence. Ibukun Awoshika's Octo-Nigerian father, Abdul Moshood Adekola, who was a great influence in her life, passed on the 20th April 2020 after serving the Lord as an usher at the Fountain of Life Church in Ilupeju. He was a Muslim convert. He was converted few days before his 60th birthday. She got married on her 28th birthday to Abiodun Awoshika, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Excel Exploration and Production Company Limited, and they are blessed with 3 fine young men, Oludola, Olufishika, and Olamiposi. To celebrate a life of impact at 60, friends and mentees surprised Awoshika by building the Ibukun Awoshika Sports Center at our beloved secondary school, Methodist Girls High School, Yaba, Lagos. This project took about 6 months to complete and had some of our mentees like Tara Durutoye, Ndidi Okuano, Chichi Nwoko, and Bisola Runsewe. They marshaled it alongside a team of other successful people. She stands like Joshua upon the pinnacle of the Horeb, looking to command an army of a new generation of women entrepreneurs that wouldn't stop at anything to achieving their God-given dreams. For her, she believes that regardless of how illustrious her career is and how successful she could ever get in life, her family and husband remain the most important gift in her life. Ibukun Awoshika.
human achievements, goal setting, hard work, and dedication have been proven to be some of the elements towards success. The journey of remarkable individuals with lasting impact on the world are often filled with manifold stories, but through determination, they build their lives and make extraordinary contributions. Join me on the story of a trailblazer in business and philanthropy, Aiboje Ag Mokwede, a lawyer turned banker who has done well for himself, made an indelible mark within the banking sector, and has continued in his ambition of touching lives within Nigeria and across Africa. Aiboje Ag Mokwede. Within the Nigerian business space and philanthropy, few names resonate and are respected profoundly. Such is Aiboje Ag Mokwede. If you're just watching, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great documentaries. Like, share, and comment. Known as a successful business mogul, banker, investor, and a philanthropist who cares about making difference, Ag Mokwede's story is one of hard work, creativity, and a desire to drive positive change across Africa. Born to civil service parents on September 24, 1966 in Ibadan, Oyo State, Nigeria, he hails from Sabongida Ora, Edo State. Aiboje spent his formative years with his parents in Lagos, where he had his primary education at St. Saviour's School. He enrolled into Federal Government College, Kaduna, and at age 16, he was admitted to study law at the University of Benin, where he graduated at a young age of 19 with a law degree, displaying early signs of his exceptional intellect and drive. Called to the Nigerian bar in 1987, he started his career in 1988 as a lawyer at Continental Merchant Bank during his National Youth Service Corps NYSC year. In 1991, he joined Guaranty Trust Bank PLC, GT Bank, where he rose to prominence as an executive director. His big moment came in 2002 when he led the acquisition of Access Bank, turning it from a small regional bank into a big player, a banking powerhouse in the industry. Throughout his career, Ag Mokwede has taken on different leadership roles, including Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Access Bank until December 2013. He later became president of the Nigerian Stock Exchange and retired in 2017, but remains on the National Council. Bowing out of Access Bank, he was given a befitting send-off.
No man or combination of men could transform what we met in Access Bank in 2002 into what would cause this type of people to come and celebrate today's office.
His foresight and managerial acumen have brought him chairmanship and directorial roles in prominent organizations such as African Finance Corporation, Associated Discount House Limited, Petrolon Energy, among others, thereby contributing greatly to their growth and sustainability. work, they say, pays. Igboje Agemokwede's hard work earned him many awards and honors. He received the National Productivity Order of Merit Award in 2009, conferred with Commander of the Order of the Niger CON in 2011 by the then President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, during his administration for contributing to banking and finance. As a visionary leader, he was installed into the E&Y World Entrepreneurs Hall of Fame in 2011 as the EY West Africa Entrepreneur of the Year and named
Hello and welcome to the World News, reaching you from our studios on Souk News Television. I am Olumide Shokoya. Now let's begin with today's top stories. Federal government launches National Digital Trust Mark for online businesses with CAC, CBN, and NCC. NNDPRA chief says Dangote refinery now supplies 20 million liters daily, transforming Nigeria's fuel supply. European Union pledges 11.5 billion euros for clean energy, infrastructure, and pharma projects in South Africa. Trump administration seeks to ban Chinese airlines from Russian airspace over U.S. route advantage. And in the world of sport, Osimhen alleges he was forced to join Napoli in 2020 amid father's illness. Now let's begin. The federal government has launched a National Digital Trust Mark for online companies in partnership with key institutions, including Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC. The initiative aims to curb online fraud, identity theft, and forgery while promoting trust, integrity, competitiveness across Nigeria's digital and e-commerce landscape. Announcing the development at a news conference in Abuja, the Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, Malam Kashifu Idua, said the trust mark was crucial in addressing global concerns over online transactions involving Nigerians and local businesses. He noted that the framework would provide a verifiable digital identity certification system for registered platforms, helping to boost user confidence and encourage greater participation in the nation's digital economy. The House of Representatives has urged the federal government to enforce full compliance with the National Health Insurance Authority NHIA Act 2022, particularly its provisions mandating private companies to enroll their employees under accredited health maintenance organization, HMOs. This calls follows the adoption of a motion sponsored by Honorable Felix Uche Nweke during the Thursday plenary titled Need to Enforce Compliance of the Provision of Health Maintenance Organization, HMO, in Private Companies. Honorable Nweke noted that despite the law's clear mandate, many private firms continue to neglect the compulsory health insurance scheme depriving workers of essential medical coverage. Lawmakers stressed that enforcing the NHIA Act would expand access to healthcare, reduce out-of-pocket spending, and strengthen Nigeria's overall health system. Here in Nigeria, dental professionals and technicians are converging for an intensive dental laboratory training organized by the Pretal Dental Lab, a name synonymous with precision, excellence, and advanced technology in dental care, with a mission to enhance smiles and improve the quality of life of patients. Pretal Dental Lab specializes in the creation of high-precision dental prosthetics
and restoration using some of the world's finest materials and digital system. Mr. Mazin Al-Jamal, Chief Executive Officer of Prital Dental, and Dr. Aman Hawari facilitated the training in collaboration with other professionals. Founded 25 years ago, the laboratory has grown into an international network with operational branches in Nigeria, Tanzania, South Africa, Egypt, Belgium, Brazil, Dubai, Iraq, Holland, and Germany, offering top-tier dental solutions to meet the global standard. At the training in Nigeria, participants introduced the cutting-edge dental technologies from digital impressions and computer-aided design systems to zirconia-based prosthetics and full arch restoration. Experts say this knowledge transfer is helping to bridge the technological gap in dental laboratories across Africa. The Chief Executive of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, Farouk Ahmed, says the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery has started transforming Nigeria's petroleum supply chain by contributing an average of 20 million liters of fuel daily to the domestic market. Ahmed made this known in Lagos on Thursday at the Association of Energy Correspondents of Nigeria annual conference, where he highlighted the authority's effort to enhance energy security, attract investment, and stabilize fuel supply nationwide. He described the refinery's operation as a significant step forward, achieving domestic refinery sufficiency and reducing dependence on fuel imports. Ahmed added that the NNDPRA remains committed to ensuring seamless operation within the downstream sector and supporting private investment to drive Nigeria's energy independence and growth and economic growth. The Nigeria Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, NETI, has disclosed that oil companies and some government agencies owe the federal government about 1.5 trillion naira in unremitted oil and gas revenues. Speaking at the 2025 NAECE Energy Conference in Lagos on Thursday, NETI Executive Secretary Dr. Orji Ogbonaya Orji said the debt were uncovered in 2021 to 2022 oil and gas industry report. The report showed that Nigeria earned $23.04 billion in 2021 and $23.05 billion in 2022, but several entities failed to remit the appropriate payments due to the Federation. Orji stressed that the recovering outstanding funds could provide a significant boost to Nigeria's development priorities, including investment in energy infrastructure, education, and healthcare. He urged relevant authorities to act swiftly to ensure accountability and improve transparency within the oil and gas sector. Now, the European Union, EU, has pledged support for Nigeria deploying the X-Road model of digital public infrastructure, DPI, mirroring successful systems implemented in Finland, and Estonia. EU Ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Mr. Gautier Mignot, announced the initiative in Abuja during the Nigeria GovTech Conference and Awards 2025, organized by the Bureau of Public Service Reforms, themed Redefining Possibilities, Harnessing Emerging Technologies for Public Service Delivery and Socioeconomic Development. The conference focused on leveraging technology to improve governance. Mignot said the EU's collaboration would enhance Nigeria's digital governance framework, promote data interoperability, and strengthen service delivery across public institutions. The X-Road model, he noted, will enable secure data exchange between government systems, improving efficiency, transparency, and citizen access to services. The federal government has cut the cost of signature bonuses for oil exploration from $100 million to $10 million as part of efforts to raise crude oil production to 2.5 million barrels per day by 2027, according to the Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC. Speaking at the 2025 Nigeria Association of Energy Correspondents, NAEC, conference in Lagos, NUPRC Chief Executive Benga Komalafe said the President, Bola Tinubu, approved the downward review during the 2024 mini-bid round to enable investors to channel more resources into field development. Komalafe noted that the move has boosted investor confidence, fast-tracked early production, and reinforced Nigeria's image as a competitive and investor-friendly oil and gas destination. The Niger Delta Power Holding Company, NDPHC, has signed power purchase agreements, PPAs, amounting to about 500 megawatts pending regulatory approval. The deals are expected to enhance the company's operational efficiency and strengthen its revenue base once implemented. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Engineer Jennifer Adije, said the company is prioritizing reinvestment in transmission subsector as liquidity challenges in the power sector begin to ease. Speaking at the National Association of Energy Correspondents of Nigeria, NAEC, annual conference in Lagos themed Nigeria's Energy Future, exploring opportunities and addressing risk for sustainable growth, Adigije noted that the NDPHC is committed to expanding power infrastructure and deepening private sector collaborations to ensure sustainable electricity supply across the country. We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll bring you more stories. Stay tuned.
Nigerian leather industry has a storied history, particularly in the northern parts of the country, where the art of leather farming and crafting has been perfected over centuries. Traditionally, leather was used primarily for functional items like sandals, bags, and saddles, with little emphasis on fashion. However, the narrative has changed drastically in recent years as Nigerian leather has evolved from a utilitarian product to a symbol of luxury and high fashion. Here is a special report by Bayo Olaoye. The turning point for Nigerian leather came as local designers began to recognize its potential beyond traditional uses. They started to experiment with new designs, creating products that appeal to the modern consumer while maintaining the heritage of craftsmanship. The result has been a wave of leather products that are not only functional, but also stylish and desirable on the global stage. One of the key factors driving the revolution is the exceptional quality of Nigerian leather. Known for its durability and unique texture, Nigerian leather, particularly from goats and cattle, has become highly sought after by fashion houses both within and outside Africa. This demand has encouraged local artisans to up their game, focusing on quality control and finishing techniques to meet international standards. Moreover, Nigerian leather products have benefited from the global trend towards sustainable and ethically produced goods. Consumers are increasingly turning away from massively produced items in favor of the handcrafted sustainable alternatives. Nigerian leather made using traditional methods with minimal environmental impact fits perfectly into this narrative. This has opened up markets for Nigerian leather goods, particularly in Europe and North America, where there is a growing appreciation for products with a story and a conscience. The rise of Nigerian leather on the fashion scene is also closely tied to the country's booming creative industry. Fashion designers, many of whom had gained international recognition, are incorporating leather into their collections and innovative ways. From sleek handbags and bespoke shoes to stylish jackets and accessories, the Nigerian leather is becoming a staple in high fashion. This trend is not only boosting the profile of Nigerian fashion, but also creating new opportunities for economic growth. The leather industry, once dominated by small-scale craftsmen, is now attracting significant investment. Entrepreneurs are setting up modern tannery and workshops, creating jobs and fostering skills development in the process. This industrialization of leather products is helping to formalize what was once an informal sector, leading to better working conditions and high incomes for artisans. However, the success of Nigerian leather market did not emerge without challenges. The industry still faces issues related to infrastructure, access to finance, and competition from imported goods. Additionally, there is the need for more investment in technology and innovation to further enhance the quality of leather products and make them more competitive in the global market. Despite these challenges, the future of Nigerian leather products looks bright. There is a growing recognition of the value of locally produced leather goods, both within Nigeria and globally. This is evident in the increasing number of fashion shows and trade fairs dedicated to promoting Nigerian leather products, as well as the rising demand from international buyers. The evolution of Nigerian leather from a utilitarian material to a symbol of high fashion is a testament to the creativity and resilience of the Nigerian artisans. It reflects the broader trend in the global fashion industry towards sustainability and craftsmanship. As the world continues to embrace African fashion, Nigerian leather is poised to become a major player on the international stage, offering a unique blend of tradition, quality, and style. This is just the beginning of what promises to be an exciting new chapter for Nigerian leather.
Welcome back to the World News. The European Union has pledged to invest 11.5 billion euros in clean energy, infrastructure, and pharmaceutical projects across South Africa. This major commitment is aimed at driving the country's economic recovery and advancing its renewable energy transition. A significant portion of the funds will support power generation capacity, grid expansion, energy storage system, and green hydrogen initiative. The investment also includes the back-end for a Coega green ammonia project designed to meet rising demand in agriculture, mining, and chemical industry, as well as expanding vaccine pharmaceutical production for the African continent. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen previously announced 4.7 billion euros in March, but it remains unclear whether this new pledge is additional. South Africa is seeking foreign investment to counter economic slowdown and cushion the impact of 30% U.S. tariff imposed in August. Officials are actively engaging Washington to lower the tariffs as they leverage this EU investment to stimulate job creation and energy security. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, said on Friday that its staff visit to Kenya revealed recent macroeconomic conditions and explored reform measures that could pave the way for a new financial program. The fund highlighted key priorities such as improving fiscal credibility, ensuring debt sustainability, and reducing financial and external risk. The discussion will continue during the upcoming IMF annual meetings as both parties explore options for a new lending arrangement. Kenya's previous $3.6 billion program expired earlier this year, leaving the government seeking alternative funding support. Several economic analysts believe a new agreement would strengthen Kenya's ability to manage external debt repayment and stabilize its fiscal position. The East African nation has faced mounting economic pressures in recent years, including rising debt service costs and limited fiscal space. A renewed IMF partnership is expected to boost investor confidence, improve foreign exchange liquidity, and support structural reforms aimed at strengthening long-term economic growth. Kenyan officials have signaled a strong interest in securing the deal to help ease financial strain. The government announced a budget of $111 billion for the year 2026, outlining the commitment to deeper fiscal reforms and efforts to stabilize public finances amid global economic uncertainty. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim emphasized that the budget of 470 billion ringgit would prioritize discipline, targeted subsidies, and revenue growth. The spending plan marks a 14% increase from the revised figure of 412 billion ringgit for the current year. It includes more than 330 billion ringgit for operating costs and 81 billion ringgit for development projects. The government expects to save about 15.5 billion ringgit annually through a more targeted subsidy system. The fiscal deficit is projected to narrow to 3.5% of gross domestic product, supported by stronger revenues and reduced subsidy costs. Economic growth is forecast between 4 and 4.5% next year. Inflation is expected to remain moderate while the central bank remains its benchmark rate to support growth. This budget reflects Malaysia's broader economic strategy to manage tariff pressures, boost fiscal resilience, and maintain steady growth despite global headwinds. Singapore and New Zealand have signed a comprehensive strategic partnership, CSP, deepening their long-standing bilateral relationship and reinforcing their commitment to maintaining a rules-based international order amid rising global tensions. The two nations, which have shared diplomatic relations for 60 years, previously signed an enhanced partnership agreement in 2019 covering trade, security, and supply chains. Under the new CSP, both countries will cooperate more closely on emerging challenges such as digital trade, climate change, supply resilience, and maritime security. Christopher Luxon, Prime Minister of New Zealand, emphasized the importance of collaboration between small states to keep trade open and strengthen security. Lawrence Wong, Prime Minister of Singapore, highlighted the legal and binding agreement ensures neither country will impose export restrictions on essential goods, including medicine, even during crisis. This agreement formalizes a trade arrangement that began during the COVID-19 pandemic when air flights continued despite limited passenger travel. Wong's visit to New Zealand followed his trip to Australia, where he agreed to deepen defense cooperation, signaling a broader push for regional strategic partnerships. China expanded its export restriction on rare earth elements on Thursday, adding 5 new materials and imposing tighter oversight on semiconductor manufacturers that rely on them. The move comes as just days before a scheduled meeting between President Donald Trump and Xi Jinping as the world's top producer of rare earth. China's latest measure heightened concerns over global supply chains for critical minerals used in electronics, defense, and green technologies. Beijing also broadened its control list to include dozens of refining technologies and announced new compliant requirements for foreign companies that process or use Chinese rare earths. The expanded rules underscores China's determination to strengthen leverage over a market it dominates, even as trade tensions with Washington intensifies. Still on China, China's State Administration for Market Regulation has launched an antitrust investigation into United States semiconductor giant Qualcomm over its acquisition of Israeli chipmaker Autotalks. The regulator said on Friday that the probe will examine whether Qualcomm breached China's antitrust laws by failing to properly declare key details of the transaction. The move adds new tension to the ongoing U.S.-China technology rivalry as both countries tighten scrutiny of foreign investment in strategic sector. Qualcomm's acquisition of Autotalks, a specialist in vehicle-to-everything V2X communication chips, was aimed at expanding its footprint in the automotive technology. However, China's investigation could complicate deal's global regulatory approval. We'll take a short break for now, and when we return, we'll bring you more stories. Stay tuned.
Plastic waste is a mounting crisis, but it also presents an opportunity for business and government to lead the vanguard for systemic change. While regulations, corporate initiatives, and citizens' engagement have made progress, much more is needed in how businesses shape consumer behavior, how governments enforce environmental policies beyond rhetoric, and how public perception is managed through strategic communication. For decades, Nigeria's reliance on single-use plastic sachets, bags, and food packaging has grown, driven by affordability and convenience. However, this has come with a cost. The country generates an estimated 2.5 million tons of plastic wastes annually, with only about 12% recycled. In urban centers like Lagos, Abuja, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, waste is a leading contributor to clogged drainage systems, flooding, and environmental degradation. In this special report, Bayo Olaoye examines the challenges facing efforts to tackle the menace of plastic wastes in the country. Despite past government efforts to curb indiscriminate plastic use, such as Lagos environmental sanitation laws under former Governor Babatunde Fashola, enforcement has been inconsistent. The challenge now is moving beyond periodic government crackdowns and isolated corporate initiatives to a coordinated long-term shift towards a responsible plastic use, recycling, and waste management. Leading Nigerian manufacturing companies are taking active steps to integrate recycling and responsible disposal into their operations. Key initiatives include investing in recycling hubs, with Coca-Cola of Nigeria, Nestle, and Guinness setting up plastic recovery and recycling hubs, creating an ecosystem where post-consumer waste is collected, processed, and refused. Retailers and distributors are being encouraged and in some cases incentivized to set up collection points where consumers can return used packaging for responsible disposal. There is also brand-driven consumer education. Organizations have introduced citizen advocacy campaigns to influence individual waste disposal behavior. This kind of messaging, when amplified by large brands, can have a ripple effect in shifting cultural habits. Beyond environmental responsibility, investing in circular economy models enhances long-term profitability, strengthens brand equity, and aligns with global environmental, social, and governance standards. To effectively shape consumer behavior and stakeholders' engagement, businesses must leverage communication strategies that go beyond compliance reports. Employees should be active participants in sustainability efforts. Companies can integrate sustainability training, incentivize waste reduction, and implement office-wide plastic reduction policies, engaging suppliers, investors, and partners in sustainability commitments such as reducing excessive packaging or co-investing in recycling solutions to create an ecosystem-wide impact. Mass communication campaigns, social influencers, partnerships, and media collaborations can help educate consumers on practical steps for responsible plastic use and disposal. While Nigeria has engaged in international climate and sustainability conversations, the government must go beyond policy declarations and foreign aid incentives. The priority should be local, long-term economic and health benefit, rather than reactivate bans that are often poorly enforced. The government can provide tax incentives for businesses, investing in recycling infrastructure while enforcing stricter regulations on reduction and disposal, expanding waste management facilities, establishing more government-led recycling centers, and integrating waste picker into a formalized economy can improve efficiency and create jobs. The administration of Governor Babatunde Fashola demonstrated that when the government takes waste disposal seriously with clear penalties for violations, citizens pay attention. The government must invest and consistently engage public education on the economic and health impact of plastic waste. A cleaner environment leads to a lower public health costs, fewer disease outbreaks, and increased workers' productivity due to better air quality and more usable public spaces. The Nigerian plastic waste problem is not just an environmental issue. It is an economic and reputational challenge for businesses and a government issue for policymakers. By adopting strategic communications, businesses can shift consumer behavior, governments can enhance enforcement, and citizens can embrace a cleaner and more sustainable future.
Welcome back to the World News. The Trump administration has proposed banning Chinese airlines from flying over Russia on routes to and from the United States, arguing that shorter travel time gives them an unfair advantage over American carriers. The proposal, unveiled Thursday, marks a fresh escalation in the trade conflict between Washington and Beijing. It follows China's move earlier that same day to tighten export controls on rare earth minerals critical to U.S. manufacturing and defense industries. The latest tit-for-tat highlights deepening economic and geopolitical tensions between the two superpowers, with both sides increasingly using trade, aviation, and technology policies as leverage in their standoff. The state government has announced it will continue operating its coal power plant well into 2040s, reversing an earlier plans to rapidly transition to renewable energy. This marks a major policy shift that would make it more difficult for Australia to meet its national emission reduction goals. The decision was unveiled as part of a new 5-year energy plan. Treasurer and Energy Minister David Janikit stated that the coal unit scheduled for closure in 2035 will now remain active as long as needed. He emphasized that Queensland's coal fleet is the youngest in the country and will continue to support the energy system. The plan also includes the construction of a new gas-fired plant and an investment of 1.6 billion Australian dollars to maintain coal, gas, and hydroelectric plants. While the federal government aims to cut emissions up to 70% by 2035, this reversal underscores deep political divisions over climate action. The roadmap will extend the lifespan of coal plants and allocate 400 million Australian dollars to encourage private investments in renewables, gas, and energy storage. Officials argue that the move will keep power affordable, but it's likely to intensify national debate over Australia's climate strategy. U.S. President Donald Trump has suggested that NATO should consider expelling Spain from alliance over its failure to meet the bloc's new defense spending threshold. Speaking on Thursday, Trump criticized Madrid's slow pace in meeting NATO's agreed target of allocating 5% of the gross domestic product to defense, a policy he championed in June to push European members towards greater military self-reliance. The remarks have stirred tensions within the alliance as several European nations continue to struggle with budget constraints amid rising global security threats. Trump's comments mark a latest in a series of confrontations with NATO members over defense spending, underscoring his administration's insistence that U.S. allies should shoulder a larger share of the collective defense burden. United States Department of Treasury has finalized a $20 billion currency swap framework with Argentina and purchase pesos in open market, delivering on a pledge by Donald Trump to support the country's struggling economy. The move immediately strengthened the peso and lifted Argentina's dollar. Bonds in investor has reacted positively. The intention, Scott Bessent, U.S. Treasury Secretary, said that the action would stabilize markets without constituting a bailout. The assistance is backed by the Treasury's $221 billion Exchange Stabilization Fund and involves coordination with the International Monetary Fund, which maintains its own $20 billion program with Argentina. Argentine Finance Minister Luis Caputo and IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva were part of the talks in Washington. The support package comes just weeks before Argentina's October 26 midterm legislative elections and is seen as a strategic boost for President Javier Milei, our Trump ally. The U.S. sees the aid as advancing its strategic interest, including Milei's pledge to limit China's influence and open critical mineral sectors to American companies. Although the peso's rebound was immediate, analysts warn that public discontent with austerity measures could shape electoral outcomes, making the coming vote a pivotal moment for Argentina's economic trajectory. In the world of sport, Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen has claimed that he was pressured into joining Napoli in 2020 while his father was on the deathbed, saying agents and club officials forced the move without his consent. In testimony to Italy's Guardia di Finanza, leaked by La Repubblica, Osimhen said he had no access to his contract draft and was sidelined during talks involving Napoli president Aurelio De Laurentiis and Lille executives. His €70 million transfer from Lille to Napoli was one of Europe's biggest deals that summer, but has remained clouded by controversy. The striker revelations come amid an ongoing investigation into alleged capital gains irregularities surrounding the move, reigniting scrutiny over the transaction and player treatment during high-profile transfers. All eyes will be on the new Peter Mokaba Stadium in South Africa on Friday as the Super Eagles take on the Crocodiles of Lesotho in a must-win clash that could determine Nigeria's 2026 FIFA World Cup fate. The Eagles' qualification hopes looked all but over after a 1-1 draw against South Africa's Bafana in September. However, a dramatic twist with South Africa docked points for fielding an eligible player, breathing new life into Nigeria's campaign. With the ruling reshaping Group C, Nigeria now sits 3 points behind leaders Benin and South Africa, with 2 games left to play. The stakes are high and victory in Polokwane is crucial if the Eagles are there to keep their World Cup dream alive. And that's a wrap on the news, but before we go, here's a recap of today's top stories. The federal government launches a National Digital Trust Mark for online businesses with CAC, CBN, and NCC. NNDPA-RA chief says Dangote refinery now supplies 20 million liters daily, transforming Nigeria's fuel supply. European Union pledges 11.5 billion euros for clean energy infrastructure and pharma project in South Africa. Trump administration seeks to ban Chinese airlines from Russian airspace with a U.S. route advantage. And in sport news, Osimhen alleges he was forced to join Napoli in 2020 amid father's illness. Many thanks for watching. Do remember to follow us on all our social media platforms at Souk News TV. I am Olumide Shokoya. Good afternoon.
Nigeria, rich in traditional and cultural heritage, is intentional about promoting history and retaining cultural values. The country has succeeded in preserving its identities and that of the forefathers for ages through folklores, folktales, traditional ceremonies, community-based initiatives, cuisine, and most notably, museums and cultural centers. These institutions serve as invaluable repositories of history, ensuring that future generations remain connected to their roots and appreciate the diverse cultural tapestry of the nation. In Nigeria, there are over 38 museums comprising national, state, and privately owned institutions scattered across the country. Each of these museums plays a crucial role in safeguarding Nigeria's vast historical wealth, with collections that reflect the uniqueness of different ethnic groups, traditional practices, and historical transitions over time. In Lagos, the National Museum, located at the center of the city in Onikan, claims a notable collection of Nigerian art, including pieces of statuary, carvings, archaeological and ethnographical exhibits, among others. Of particular significance is the terracotta human head, known as Jema head, dated between 900 and 200 BC, which is part of the renowned Nok culture. The piece is named after Jema, the village where it was discovered. The museum is administered by the National Commission for Museums and Monuments and remain a key educational and historical attractions for visitors. Another prominent artifact housed within the museum is the famous Benin bronze head, an evidence to the artistic excellence of the Benin Kingdom.
The museum has a lot of functions, some of which are to educate, to entertain, research, interpretation, conservation and preservation of our cultural heritage. And the museum was established, Lagos Museum particularly, was established in 1957. It was formerly referred to as Department of Antiquities. So, well, the journey so far has been interesting because, we are here, to showcase our cultural heritage, not just to the country, but to the world. And we've had, we have series of, events that we do, that involve the community. And because of that, we create that awareness that this is where you can come and, see and feel your cultural heritage, your traditions, your history. Because it is said that a people without a history is a people without identity. So the museum portrays this to the people. And over the years, that is what we've been doing. Through education, community participation, we have galleries, that we display some of our objects, our antiquities, that showcase our patrimony and all there is to know about our cultural inheritance. And so the museum, has been doing that over the years, and, we still keep doing more.
The Lagos National Museum was founded in July 1957 by English archaeologist Kenneth Murray, following the submission of architectural sketch in 1948 at a conference on museum policy in Nigeria. Kenneth Murray collected several traditional masks from Cross River State to display in the museum's early years, according to historical records. The primary purpose of structuring the museum was to preserve Nigeria's historical artifacts and cultural heritage. Fortunately, that vision has remained alive to this day. The museum serves as a significant tourist attraction for Lagos residents and international visitors alike, offering an immersive glimpse into the nation's past. Some of the remarkable artifacts currently on display at the museum include the bullet-ridden car in which former Nigerian head of state, General Murtala Muhammad, was assassinated, pictures of previous rulers and presidents of Nigeria from different eras, a diverse collection of cultural drums, tools, and ceremonial staffs from various ethnic groups, historical crowns and caps of revered traditional rulers symbolizing their power and authority, photographs of Queen Elizabeth II and her entourage during her visit to Nigeria, reflecting moments of colonial history.
It's so immense. It's museum is a reminder of what the society is all about, because a number of us are missing the link. We don't even know the role, the significance of the society we find ourselves because of foreign influence. But when you come to museum, it will bring your mind back to the original habitat, the way of life of people, how things should be seen in the society, and how we should react to phenomenal changes in our environment. Basically, we'll be doing this work of educating the general public, not only Nigerians, over 20-something years here, and the impact has been so tremendous, to the point that what we do at the museum is in consonance with the curriculum of our institutions, from primary, nursery, primary, secondary, even tertiary, even people in their corporate organization. They deem me free to come to National Museum anytime they feel like we are missing the link, we have missed a lot of things concerning the way of life of our forefathers. You know, even here, apart from that, we do have what is called seminar. We organize seminar for expatriates, for individuals. They come around on Wednesdays to come and listen and learn on cultural-based subjects.
I think it was great. I mean, I particularly like the circle of life that it presented in here, right? From birth to reincarnation to external influences. I think it gave a good history of Nigeria. I learned a lot about that. There seems to be some real big connection between Nigeria and Benin in terms of the history that I wasn't totally aware of. I was able to see the different artifacts and stuff that were presented. So it was quite interesting. They did, I think, a pretty good job doing a comprehensive tour or comprehensive history of Nigeria and its culture and its surrounding areas.
A visit to the Lagos National Museum offers an enriching experience, transporting visitors back in time and allowing them to connect with Nigeria's rich and diverse history. The museum provides an opportunity to explore stories of resilience, artistry, and governance that have shaped the nation. Whether you are a history enthusiast, a student, or simply a curious traveler, stepping into this museum promises a nostalgic journey through Nigeria's past, fostering a deeper appreciation for its cultural legacy. Nigeria continues to reflect the stories that shapes its people, steadfast in its commitment to promoting history and preserving its cultural values for generations to come. Grace Komalafe, Soap Perspective.
The National Assembly, in collaboration with the African Development Studies Center, ADSC, held a 5-day national capacity building workshop on treaties, agreements, and protocols for federal MDAs, with the theme, Enhancing Institutional Capacity for Effective Treaty Negotiation, Implementation, and Oversight in Nigeria. Honorable Barrister Rabiu Yusuf, Chairman of the House Committee on Treaties, Protocols, and Agreements in the 10th Assembly, highlighted the importance of strengthening the skills of key government officials in treaty processes.
At this particular moment of our country, we need a situation whereby all the stakeholders involved in external engagement with other countries, particularly state and the federal governments, and mostly MDAs of the at national level, to ensure that they are aware, they know what it takes, they know how it will be, and they know what it takes to ensure the institutionalized democracy and the legal approach as far as ratification, engagement, domestication of treaties. That is why the 10th National Assembly, under the able leadership of the Right Honorable Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, mandated our committee, pursuant to Section 12, Sub 2 of the Constitution, that we should reach out to all necessary stakeholders who are personally stakeholders on this engagement to ensure they know how it takes and they know how to execute it. basically that is the reason we are conducting this exercise.
Actually, I think there is no point for me to deliver my remark at this time, because I'm very much aware that my remarks have been delivered yesterday in distinction. So in either words, I will just say I sincerely appreciate your presence in this program, and I believe it will go far in helping the system, stimulating the system, and work for the Nigerian progress. So I wish you a fruitful discussion and a successful outcome. Thank you very much.
The major challenge, everybody is going silo, in the sense that we are not trying to bring ourselves into the same table to ensure that before you find any entity, be it state, local governments, or federal entity, as far as engagement is concerned with other outside worlds, you need to know there are provisions of the Constitution which you need to comply. Failure to comply with that provision of the Constitution, whatever you do, it will go to a nullity, invalid, and is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution. And to the extent of that inconsistency, it is null and void, of no effect whatsoever. So we're trying to avoid this scenario whereby at national level or at international fora, Nigeria will be embarrassed because the stakeholders, the principal actors, they didn't even know what they are doing. So that is why we decided at this particular moment, it is rife and necessary to ensure that we engage with unnecessary stakeholders. That is the basic reasons for engaging these activities. Actually, I recommend their effort to any other entity, because if you can see, most of them, they are legal luminaries. They know their audience, they know what they are doing. So I really appreciate, they did a very wonderful job. And I sincerely appreciate. That's the main reason that I say I need to be here in Lagos, at least to supervise the happening in Lagos. And I'm impressed. Engagement with outside world, it is two ways. It is going to be either bilateral or multilateral. So with this kind of workshop, or with this kind of discourse, we believe the principal actors will now know what it takes to enter a treaty. And if they comply with what they are taught in this session, if they advise their principal when they go back to their respective MDA on the right way to go, I believe most of the treaties will be legally binding in Nigeria, provided they follow the procedure laid down by the Constitution. The future is bright. And the future, we will ensure in the future that all the treaties, all the agreements, all the international protocols are being observed to the latter, are being protected and enforced as it is enshrined in the Constitution. And with this kind of workshop, we believe we will create a series of avenues whereby we will engage other parties, other necessary stakeholders. We just set the ball rolling, and we will be there, inshallah.
Also sharing insights on the workshop, the clerk of the House Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements discussed the value of the training in improving the understanding and application of international agreements across MDAs. He noted that the engagement served as an eye-opener, equipping participants with tools for more effective negotiation and oversight.
I'm a Nigerian, I'm a citizen of Nigeria, and I want Nigeria to benefit from its interaction with international community, and it starts from things like this. For us to be able to interact well, we need to know what it entails to engage in the international community. When we are talking about treaties, what does it entail to enter into treaties? How do we do that? How do we negotiate? How do we implement? How do we oversight as a parliament? So it is my duty as a clerk of the committee to advise the chairman and the committee members on how to go on all these issues, and also very instrumental to the organization of this workshop today. Our partners, the facilitators, are very, very excellent. We appreciate them, and it's also a collaborative effort between us and them. And so far, so good. What we have achieved so far has been fantastic. The participants are very, very impressed. I myself am impressed, and I also there are some things I am taking home. For instance, now. Nigerians used to think before that our negotiators who negotiate treaties will just go abroad, go on tea party, shopping, but it's not more the case. By what I'm seeing here now, I can see experts technocrats who know their onions, who take the bull by the horn and do what it's supposed to do. That one has been established. Even our facilitators can attest to that as well. Another thing is that the quality of ideas being shown and being given us here is very, very apt to our situation presently, so that we can apply in our situation in Nigeria. And going forward, if this lesson continues, it's going to impact a lot, because the MDs, many of the MDs are here, even state governments, like Kogi State Government is here, the SSG is here, the Attorney General of Plateau State was also here, and also some top directors in the federal MDA, they are here. So it's a high-class, high-level engagement workshop. We are in a political environment, I must tell you that. But we, technocrats, are supposed to be the advisors and movers of policies. So they don't need to bend. They need to stick to the rule. And I also to advise our government, our leaders, that as well as they are making policies, they should also consider the benefits, the interests of the country, not just politics. They should not play politics with it. They should consider the interests of the country first, and also the people. It's an appeal that everybody that has a responsibility to do, either in the public service, or in private sector, in government, do your responsibility as much as you can, in a good faith, in sincerity. Don't put your personal interests above national interests.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my pleasure to be here to make a closing remarks on behalf of His Excellency, the Right Honorable Speaker, 10th National Assembly, Right Honorable Najib Abbas. He has mandated me to deliver this goodwill closing remarks. We appreciate your time, your dedication, and your effort in trying to attend this program and attentively pay attention to the discourse and the further issue being deliberated here. And it is believed that this message you have learned here, or what you have learned here, will be passed towards your chief executive officers, and at the same time you will guide them achieving the necessary mandates in deciding issues of treaties, obligation of treaties, and what have you. So at this juncture, on behalf of the Right Honorable Speaker, we wish you a safe return to your various destinations, and we believe you will pass the message to all other necessary stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Olumorok, Lishabi, and the people of Egala, a story of resilience and transformation. Telling the story from afar may not be as beautiful as visiting the historical scene for a more engaging storytelling.
I welcome you to the foot of Olumorok. So climbing the rock is in two ways. Either you go through the panoramic elevator or the stairs, but whichever way you choose to go through, I'm assuring you are going to land at the topmost part of Olumorok safely. So Olumorok is like every other rock you've ever climbed or know about, but it plays an important role in the life of the people of Egba during an intertribal war between the Egba and Oyo Empire.
History and culture are the intertwined thread that shape the identity of a people, offering a glimpse into their past struggles, triumphs, and the rich traditions that continue to define their presence.
So from here we can have the glance view of the immediate environment around Olumo Rock. Because Olumo Rock is centered at the middle of Abeokuta. But when we get to the topmost part on Olumo Rock, we are going to have the 360 degree of the view, which means the more you go, the more you see. So I want to encourage you to
Brace up.
Brace up so that we can get to the topmost part of the rock. So let's move.
History is what we bring to you today. What is the connection between Olumo Rock, Lishabi, and the Egba people? My name is Grace Komolafe, and this is Souk Perspective. Let me take you on an inspiring journey through the history of one of Nigeria's most significant landmarks. Come with me.
I welcome you to the first level on Olumo Rock.
Thank you.
So this is the first level on the rock. Olumo Rock is in 3 stages, from the ground floor to the first landing scape. I want to inform you that you have climbed 120 stairs to come this far. Can you give yourself a round of applause for that? And I'm sure you are fit to climb to the topmost part in Olumo Rock.
I'll try.
That's great to know. So the first level of Olumo Rock is called Lishabi Garden. Lishabi Garden is named after one of our past warriors called Lishabi Agbungu Akala. Lishabi was one of the warriors that fought for Egba to gain their freedoms from old Oyo Empire. It is a natural garden set aside for people to take relaxation after climbing the first level of the rock. Also at this spot, we have 2 trees that we can talk about. The first one is Dongoyaro tree. This is it here. Dongoyaro tree. English call it neem tree. It botanicizes as Adirata indica. If you get from its leaf and cook cassava and drink, it cures malaria. And if you drink from its stick, it clears bad breath from mouth. Also, its name is derived from an Hausa face, which means tall boy, Doko Yaro. This is a flamboyant tree. Its botanic is Dilonis regia. It produces some lumpo. Look at the branches. If you get from those brown pods, there are some seed inside it. When it dries up, if you tap or shake, give a kind of sound sheke sheke. And that was where the Yoruba derived its name from. That is why we call it pansheke in the Yoruba land. The pots serve as a natural musical rattle for traditional dancers, nursing mother to play with, before the invent of tambourine and some other musical instruments. When we go up on Olumo Rock, we are going to turn and visit all historical places. There are some shrines and worshippers around Olumo Rock. They are not harmful. They are here to showcase our cultural and traditional heritage. So I wish you a pleasant trip as we rock.
Olumo Rock, a striking natural formation rising 137 meters, which is about 450 feet above Abeokuta, Nigeria. It's more than just a tourist attraction. It is a symbol of Egba people's endurance. The story of Olumo Rock begins in the early 19th century when it was identified by the hunter named Adagba. Though details on how Adagba discovered the rock were limited, it is well documented that the Egba people facing oppression under the Oyo Empire sought refuge here.
So this is the cave. This was where the people of Egba took refuge during the war. From that side, there are some tripping water. Some water is to drop from the outside. It is tagged the medicinal water of Olumo Rock. Whenever the water is gushing, traditional believers always come to pick from its drop. And they claim it cures so many ailments in the body. But the water is not flowing out because God determines when the water flows. And this grave, that's the resting place of Chief Sonny. The grave of Chief Sonny. Chief Sonny was the OC of Itoko during his lifetime. Olumo Rock is founded between two communities. The entry point of Olumo Rock, where you came in from, is called Ikija, while the backside of Olumo Rock is called Itoko community. And this is a chieftaincy title in the Yoruba land. That is the chief sitting at the left of the king in palace. As we have the Otunba and Osioba, Osi two top position to the king. According to the custom and tradition of Yoruba, when the chief died, they buried the chief either at the front of his house, at his bedroom, or at his backyard. He must never be taken to a cemetery. That was why Baba was buried here. And this rostry roof building is the family house of Chief Sonny. The family has an extension. Baba dies on the 23rd of January 1956. 20 years after his death, government took over this place as a tourist site. That was why government decided to fence the family house so that they will not be blocking up the passage of the tourists. So the people of Egba took refuge here during an intertribal wars. The war started in 1830. Then the people of Egba were under old Oyo Empire. They basically want freedoms and where to settle. That was why they consulted the Ifa Oreku for lead. Ifa instructed the Egbas to come and settle there. On their way coming down, they met a man on the road. The name of the man is called Adagba. Adagba was a great hunter farmer. He was the one that discovered Olumo Rock during his hunting process. During those periods, the entire city of Abeokuta was thick forest. Only the powerful ones and the warriors that could come around to do anything and return back home alive. But when the Ifa instructed the Egbas to come, Shodeke, who was one of the founding fathers of Egba land, led the people of Egba down here. And they were here for years. During their stay, they took the natural suspension shape of the rock advantage and built their rooms. The rock is naturally standing. They only took the advantage of the shape and built their room. So the rock served as the roof of the room. 4 of the rooms they built has collapsed, remains only that. Those are the signs of the fallen rooms. That was where they kept wives and children. Men and warriors will surround the rock so that the enemy will not gain access to this place. All these holes we are seeing on the surface of the rock, that was where they do their grindings. Like we use blenders now, Yoruba call it Oluata. So the process of their grindings make the holes deep like this. After the war in 1833, the people of Egba asked from Ifa Oreku to confirm maybe they should leave this place to go back to where they came from. Ifa told them to keep on dwelling here, that this is where God has put an end to their problems. And that's how they derived the name to the rock, Olufimo. Olufimo means where God put an end to all our tribulations. Ibi tí Olúwa fi ogun wàhálà àti ìdààmú ayé wa mọ̀ sí Olufimo. But people later shorten it to Olumo to gain a very short word. Another meaning to Olumo, Olu in a Yoruba land means God. That's God Almighty. Mo means mold or molded. The people then believe that God benevolently molded the rock for them so that they can take their refuge under it. Olúwa ló mọ̀ fún wa láti fi ṣe ibi ìsádi kúrò lọ́wọ́ ọ̀tá. God molded the rock for our refuge. So when they came out from the rock, others were asking the Egbas of their whereabouts, and they told them, hid ourselves under the rock. Under the rock or beneath the rock in Yoruba means Abe Okuta. And that was how the name got changed from Egba, and they started referring to them as Omo Abe Okuta. Also, the popular city of Abe Okuta started from here. So if you have been anywhere around the town and you have not visited here, you haven't been to Abe Okuta.
The name Olumo is derived from the Yoruba words Olu means God and Mo meaning molded, signifying God-molded rock. This reflects the deep spiritual connection the Egba have with the rock, seeing it as a divine creation that shaped their destiny. Today, the rock remains not only a historical site, but a place of cultural rituals, including annual sacrifices.
Over here, we have the main shrine of Olumo Rock, the main shrine of the rock. The main shrine is a local temple where the people of Egba worship and make sacrifices to the deities of Olumo Rock. Olumo Rock is an historical monument. It's also a symbol of Egba unity, strength, and unfailing protection. The people of Egba took refuge during an intertribal war. And after the war, the rock has become a deity. That is why Egba people offer sacrifice to Olumo Rock once in a year with a big black cow. During the festival, Only 2 people have access to enter the shrine. That is why the shrine is always locked. And the 2 people are the paramount ruler of Egbaland, that's Alake of Egbaland, and the chief priest. The chief priest is called Abore in the Yoruba land. Other traditional rulers in Abeokuta invited guests, indigenous of Abeokuta, will stay outside to say amen to his prayer. During the festival, the Alake of Egbaland will pray for the whole nation. He pray for Egba unity. Also the climbers of Ulumo Rock, so that they will not fall. No one has ever fallen while climbing the rock. Also at the shrine, traditional believers always come to make their requests in prayers. When the prayer is answered, those that made pledges while praying will come back to redeem their pledge, ensuring appreciation to Almighty God and to Ulumo that interceded for them. That is why we have those feather, blood, and cloth on the face of the shrine. Those are the sign of pledges people have been returning. And the people refer to the rock as Olumo Abelowo, Abelomo, Abeloro, Asadi Mulu Egba. There are 4 traditional rulers in Abeokuta: Alake of Egbaland, the paramount ruler of Egbaland, Oshilo of Okeono, Agora of Bagora, and Oluwu of Uwu. Traditional believers always come to make their requests in prayers. Maybe they are looking for words, children, or anything in life. So when the prayer is answered, those that make pledges while praying will usually come back with their pledges. That's why we have those feather, blood, and stuff on the face of the shrine. Those are the sign of the pledges. And the people refer to the rock as Olumo Abelowo, Abelomo, Abeloro, Asadi Mulu Egba, meaning a deity you can pray through for words, children, and every other good things in life.
You might be wondering about the historical issues between Oyo and the Egba people. How Oyo to exert control over them. The western region of Nigeria, primarily composed of Yoruba descendants, was dominated by the Oyo Empire, a powerful political entity that rose to prominence around the 15th century. By the 18th century, Oyo had become one of the largest and most influential states in West Africa, known for its sophisticated governance, military strength, and expansive trade networks, controlling neighboring kingdoms, including the Egba. The governance of the Oyo Empire was centralized under the Alafi, the king, who was supported by a council of advisors and provincial governors. This structure enabled the empire to maintain stability and enforce laws across its vast territories. At its peak, Oyo thrived economically through agriculture, trade, and craftsmanship, establishing itself as a vibrant economic hub. However, its involvement in the transatlantic slave trade created significant instability in the region, leading the Egba people to seek independence from Oyo's control. Who is Lishabi? No story about the Egba people is complete without mentioning Lishabi, the legendary warrior whose courage and strategic leadership freed the Egba people from the oppressive dominance of the Oyo Empire. Lishabi heroism is etched deeply in the annals of Yoruba history, as he led a rebellion that broke the chance of subjugation and paved the way for Egba autonomy. Lishabi Agbongbo Akala, a native of Itoku, Abeokuta, was not just a fearless leader, but also a tactician. In the late 18th century, the Egba were subject to heavy taxation and constant exploitation under Oyo's rule. To resist this, Lishabi secretly mobilized a group of Egba farmers and hunters into a covert warrior society called Egbearo, a vital step in organizing the rebellion. With his deep understanding of the terrain and his influence over his people, Lishabi led a series of coordinated guerrilla attacks against Oyo forces stationed in the Egba region. His strategy was not one of open warfare, but a methodical plan to undermine Oyo's authority. By ambushing Oyo tax collectors and military detachments, Lishabi weakened the empire's grip over the Egba. His leadership unified the Egba people, turning their frustration with Oyo into a force for liberation. Following their eventual victory, the Egba people were freed from the oppressive rule. In 1830, this newfound freedom led to the establishment of Abeokuta, meaning under the rock, a city founded under the protective watch of Olumorok. Olumorok provided both a literal and symbolic refuge as it sheltered their people during their struggle for independence. From this safe haven, the Egba built a thriving community rooted in agriculture, trade, and craftsmanship, becoming a key cultural and economic hub in the region. Today, Lishabi Agbongbo Akala's legacy is celebrated not just as a warrior, but as a symbol of unity and resilience. His actions not only ensured the survival of the Egba people, but also contributed to the rich historical and cultural fabric of Abeokuta and the entire Yoruba as a whole. By the mid-19th century, Abeokuta had attracted European missionaries like Thomas Freeman, whose introduction of Western education and Christianity left a lasting influence on the community.
Inscription about the, just a little write-up. The next spot is where we used to have the mamas. So this was one of the water pots they drank from there. Yoruba call it kukuama. It's for water storage and preservation. Water point, yes, as cold as water from the refrigerator, but it has been cemented for proper preservation. The Yalo Risha, they are here as the custodians of the rock, and people do come to them for spiritual consultation and a whole lot more. So this is a crown tree. Crown tree. Yoruba call it Igia Koko. If a king has to be installed, or they want to make a chieftaincy title in the Yoruba land, they pluck from the leaf away a cocoa to coronate king. But this very one is mainly used for the paramount ruler of this town, Lake of Egala, only for him. And the tree has been growing there for over 250 years. It doesn't grow than this. It has been. Poster of the newly studied Iyalumo, she's 98 years of age. And this is a poster reflecting the old Iyalumo. She died at the age of 137 years, over 2 years ago now. They have a deity they worship here. They call it Orisha Igun. Orisha Igun. That's a deity that controls longevity. They believe the more they worship, the longer they live. So they have other deities around. One of such is Orisha Ojubo Baluaye. Baluaye is the deity that controls chickenpox and measles. Yoruba call it Shopono. So if chickenpox or measles is striking all over, they do consultation from here. So whatever instruction they get, so once they follow it, everything that comes up will disappear at the go. So that's Ojubo Baluaye right there. And this Ogun, god of iron, the famous god of iron. So we have a baobab tree here. Baobab tree, B-A-O-B-A-B. In the eastern part of Nigeria, they call it Afo-Napunwa. In the northern part, they call it Kuka. Here in southwest, we call it Gioshe. It botanica is Adansonia digitata. The encounter of the tree is that traditional believers always come under to pray for protections, because there's an adage in the Yoruba land that goes those. Wanipo do ikapa, apa okapa, wado ikai Gioshe, apa okoshe, wado ika konga, konga oshe binukosi. Meaning there's no way you can wrap your arms around the tree. It is impossible because of its massiveness. That's why traditional believers always come under to pray for protections. So that's the Gioshe right there. On the floor here we have the faces of the warlord, those that fought for Egba to gain their liberations. So their memorial sculpture was molded here. And the white share you are seeing there, that's type of money spent in the olden days. Cowrie share, Yoruba call it Oweyo. But now they know it for a fact consultation and traditional decoration. That's the olden days money spent in the olden days. Also, they use it for a far consultation. The ancient route to the peak of Olumo Rock. Before modernization, this is the only means of going up the rock. The ancient route is a natural passage used by the warriors to access the rock.
Today, Olumo Rock stands as a beacon of history, attracting visitors from all over the world who seek to understand the resilience of the Egba people, showcasing various historical pieces, traditional items, and, on the other hand, the establishment and continuous celebration of the Lishabi Festival. In the evolution of the Egba from warriors and hunters to craftsmen, traders and national leaders, their history illustrates the power of unity and determination. Olumo Rock continues to tell the story of a people who overcame oppression to build a vibrant, self-sustaining community.
I welcome you to the topmost part in Olumo Rock. From here you can see almost everywhere in Abeokuta. And the height of the rock is 137 meters above sea level. That's about 449 feet.
This is the rich, unyielding legacy of Olumo Rock, Lishabi and the Egba people, a narrative of survival, courage, and transformation. Now you see the connection. You see the missing link. I am Grace Komolafe, and this is Souk Perspective on Souk News Television.
Jim Ovia, one of the most influential and successful businessmen in Nigeria, who has made a mark in the financial system. He is the founder and chairman of Zenith Bank, one of Africa's largest and most profitable banks. He has been described by Forbes Africa as the godfather of banking in Nigeria.
My name is Jim Ovia. I'm chairman of Zenith Bank, and I thank you all for listening to me.
This illustrious son of Africa was one of the financial leaders who revolutionized the banking sector in Nigeria. Let's take a close look into the life, background, career, and achievements of this enigma, Jim Ovia. Jim Ovia was born on November 4, 1951 in Agbo, Delta State, Nigeria, to a large family as the second son of Chief Obi Olihe of Agbobi in Delta State. Being one from a humble background, Jim attended local schools as he had lost his father at the tender age of 4. His widowed mother, together with his older brother, saw him through school. He had secondary education at Ika Grammar School in Agbo. Due to his interest in business and technology, he proceeded to the United States to study business administration at Southern University, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, USA, where he obtained a bachelor's degree in 1977. He furthered to University of Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana, and bagged a master's degree in business administration in 1979. Jim Ovia is also an alumnus of the prestigious Harvard Business School. Jim Ovia worked briefly as a clerk in Union Bank in 1973 before proceeding for tertiary studies. Upon acquiring immense business knowledge from international institutions, he returned to Nigeria, his home country, and began a career in banking. He continued at this for years, working for banks such as Lion Bank, Merchant Bank of Africa, and International Merchant Bank. After many years in the banking industry, in 1990, Jim came together with some colleagues to found one of Africa's largest and most profitable bank, Zenith Bank. The bank was established with a vision to provide excellent customer service, innovative and technology-driven banking. Zenith Bank flourished as it drew customers who sought excellence in financial services. What started with an asset of $4 million and about 50 staff has grown into over $24 billion in assets and shareholders' funds of more than $3 billion as of June 2022. Zenith Bank is listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and London Stock Exchange. Jim Ovia served as Zenith Bank's Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director from 1990 to 2010, and then Chairman from 2010 to 2014. After a brief break, he returned as Chairman of the bank in 2016 and remains so till date. Under his leadership, Zenith Bank has grown to become one of the leading banks in Nigeria and Africa, standing tall among some of Nigeria's first-generation banks of repute, a feat rare for second-generation banks established in a time of tension between military and civilian regimes and economic instability.
We will build our own roads to our branches if we're building branches in some cities, towns where the roads are not good enough. We have also bought power plants, generating sets to power electricity into our building. When we do all this, we also even had dug borehole to supply water to the building. When we do all this, what I personally call it is BYOI, bring your own infrastructure or build your own infrastructure.
Jim Ovia served as Zenith Bank's Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director from 1990 to 2010, and then Chairman from 2010 to 2014. After a brief break, he returned as Chairman of the bank in 2016 and remains so till date. Under his leadership, Zenith Bank has grown to become one of the leading banks in Nigeria and Africa, standing tall among some of Nigeria's first-generation banks of repute, a feat rare for second-generation banks established in a time of tension between military and civilian regimes. Zenith Bank has diversified its services to include insurance, pensions, stockbroking, and investment banking. The bank has won awards and recognition for its performance, governance, innovation, and social responsibility, inspired by its chairman's belief in giving back to community.
Really, it's my special pleasure, my honor indeed, for this opportunity offered by AAI to be awarded in the category of Business Leadership Award for 2017.
As an entrepreneur, Jim Ovia has made investments in sectors other than banking. They include oil and gas, telecommunication, real estate, power generation, media, and most recently, education. He is the founder and chancellor, James Hope University, Lekki, Lagos State, which has been approved by the National Universities Commission, NUC, to offer postgraduate degrees in business courses. Jim Ovia is a man who believes in giving back to society. He has engaged in philanthropic works through his foundations, Mankind United to support total education, MUSTE, and Youth Empowerment, ICT Foundation. These foundations award scholarships to indigenous students and promote information and communication technology in Nigeria through various initiatives. Ovia has made donations towards courses and institutions. They include Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, NIPC, Nigerian Internet Group, NIG, Lagos State University, and National Information Technology Advisory Council, just to mention a few. In recognition of his contributions, Jim Ovia is a recipient of many honors and awards. In 2012, the University of Benin awarded him an honorary doctorate degree. Former President Muhammadu Buhari in 2022 conferred him with the national honor of the Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, CFR. Also in 2022, Jim Ovia was conferred with the National Productivity Order of Merit, NPOM award, by the federal government of Nigeria. Jim Ovia is a proud member of the World Economic Forum, the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. He is also a member of several boards and councils.
We can't afford to lose depositors' money. We can't afford to lose money that belongs to stakeholders. So you must structure your industry in such a way that the best and nothing but the best are there.
As chairman of Zenith Bank with more than 9% stake, Jim Ovia in 2015 was estimated by Forbes to have a net worth of $550 million. This net worth obviously has been surpassed since then. Jim Ovia, as a business person, founded 5 companies, They are Zenith Bank PLC, the Quantum Group, Visaphone Communications, Quantum Luxury Properties, Civic Center Towers, and Cyberspace Network. Jim is member, Honorary International Investors Council. Kay Ovier is CEO, Quantum Markets Limited, a firm that offers stock brokerage services. She sits on the board of several organizations and is chairman, board of directors of Cyberspace Limited, a leading software engineering company. Cyberspace Limited is one of the pioneers in provision of internet services in Nigeria, providing network and software services. Kay, being at the head of a tech giant in Nigeria, teamed up with her husband, Jim, to strategically deploy robust IT infrastructure at Zenith Bank, which resulted in the development of digital products and technology-driven banking in Nigeria. Kay is an alumnus of Enugu State University of Technology, ESUT, where she holds an MBA in management. She is much given to philanthropy, with several initiatives to transform lives, particularly those of the underprivileged. One of her projects targeted at children and youths, Star Rising Talent Hunt, aims at discovering and projecting hidden talents. Jim is married to businesswoman and philanthropist Kay Ovier. She's also a hotelier, proudly running Starwood Hotels. Jim and Kay Ovier are blessed with 5 children: Isioma, Zephyr, Tito, Tommy, and Jesse. As a family man, Ovier enjoys spending time with his family. He also likes reading and traveling. In order to pass on his vast wealth of knowledge on business and finance to African entrepreneurs, Jim Ovier authored a book titled Africa, Rise and Shine. The book was published in 2018 by Forbes Books. The book was written after he featured in an issue of Forbes, and it became the magazine's best-selling edition in Africa, that it had to be reprinted 4 times. The book, Africa Rise and Shine, paints the picture of his humble beginning from the small town of Agbo in Delta State, and against all odds, pushed through to become a global business icon, while providing insight on how to conquer challenges in African markets, taking advantage of the opportunities. The man, Jim Ovier, is a firm believer of Africa being a continent abundant with natural and human resources. He has constantly pitched the continent as a land filled with investment opportunities in international business forums such as the Harvard Business School Annual Africa Business Conference, Bloomberg Global Business Forum, Commonwealth Business Forum, and the World Economic Forum, where he has been invited to participate and even deliver keynote address. Jim Ovier remains one of the pride of Africa and a great contributor to Nigeria's economy and the financial landscape in Africa.
The Nigerian National Medicine Development Agency, NNMDA, was created in 1997 and backed by Act 2019 to enable the federal government of Nigeria through Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation actualize its critical and strategic mandates to research, develop, document, preserve, conserve, and promote Nigeria's natural medicine defined as indigenous medicine. 4 Director Generals had steered the affairs of the agency since its creation 28 years ago. A new vista, however, opened in the history of the existence of the agency when Martins Emeje, a distinguished pharmacist and professor of nanotechnology, was appointed as the 5th Director General and Chief Executive Officer in May 2023. Before taking on the mantle of leadership at the NNMDA, Professor Martins Emeje was the Chair R&D at the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development, with many feats on drug formulation and R&D results to his credit.
I deliberately applied for this job. There was advertisement. I applied. I wrote the exam. It was an online exam. Nobody saw anybody. And 1 hour exam online. When you submit your answer sheet, you have a copy of the answer sheet that you have. So I have the copy of the answer that I submitted online that day. And that is my manifesto. So every month, I look at the answers that I submitted, and it guides me in the work that I do. As a researcher and proudly the first and only research fellow in Nigeria who is heading a research institute, I know exactly the problems of R&D in Nigeria, because nobody in Nigeria has or is currently heading a research institute, and he went through the rank and file from being a trainee researcher to an intern researcher, an NYSC researcher, and then a research professor. This is the background that I have.
Call him a round peg in a round hole, and you won't be wrong, as he hit the ground running, leaving a lot of innovations on his trail, achieving great strides in the areas of education, agriculture, and health, thereby raising the bar in R&D in natural medicine for the agency. From May 2023, when he was appointed, within just a few months, 4 oral solid dosage formulation products were unveiled.
My greatest moment actually happened on 8th of March 2024, when the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Chief Uche Naji, came to Lagos in the campus of NNMDA here to launch 4 oral solid dosage forms. It was not just the first time it was happening in NNMDA, the very first time it was happening in Nigeria. We decided that we will go for education as a major target, as a major KPI. And we went for it aggressively and got accreditation to start a 2-year national diploma in natural medicine. So this agency, for the first time in Nigeria, we now have a school of natural medicine. It's never been heard before. It happened in this administration within these 2 years. Within these 2 years too, because the country saw that we had made explosive advancement in this area, we got upgraded to what we call an awarding body for national skills acquisition in traditional medicine. One of the best medicinal gardens that you can find in Africa right now is in this country, owned by the Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency, and we did it these 2 years. In fact, two of our products that is waiting for Mr. President launch was we got our raw materials from our Nasarawa State Farm in Karo. Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the world. Cassava. The only country that competes with Nigeria is Brazil. Yet, Nigeria does not have value-added cassava products. Yet, Nigeria imports starch to make pharmaceutical products. We made a presentation to the National Assembly, and the Senate of our National Assembly supported us. So we went into development of pharmaceutical grade starch. Today, we have pharmaceutical grade starch. In health itself, we have developed and submitted to NAFDAC about 23 different products. 23. And they are all at advanced stage of NAFDAC's regulatory assessment at this point. Now, 3 of such products plus 5 of what we did the previous years is available, and people, because we are a research institution not capacitated or competent as by reason of mandate and skilling to do marketing, we do them. We do proof of concept, and we wait for entrepreneurs of pharmaceutical industries, nutraceutical industries, food industries to come take them to the market, right? But we also owe, because, like I said, the huge component of the Renewed Hope agenda is that people should be attended to, so that they know that they cannot lose their hope completely in their country. So in this environment, anybody who wants drug for hypertension, for malaria, for erectile dysfunction, for arthritis, for diabetes, for hepatitis, for about at least 8 different disease areas, they come to our pharmacy here to get the drugs.
The past 2 years, under the leadership of Professor Martins Emeje, has seen human capacity development like never before. A development that propelled the agency's researchers into breaking new ground.
This agency had never, in its almost 30 years of existence, had never participated in any local conference where researchers went with work they did in their own laboratory to go make competitive presentation. In our maiden outing, in these 2 years, we won 2 awards. We went out for the first time and we got 2 awards. We took first position and we took third position. That is gold and bronze. When I came, I met researchers that have been here working for 15 years but with 1 degree. And I told them, you can't be a researcher with 1 degree. So I embarked on rigorous and aggressive drive to partner and collaborate with investors. So we went into that. Today, as I'm talking to you, we have at least 13 researchers and of the agency that are doing different postgraduate studies in different universities in Nigeria. I have a staff that was in Zimbabwe for 6 months. Now he has a master's in intellectual property. At least 7 of my staff have gone to India.
Quality assurance has been one of the top priorities of the NNMDA Director General and the accreditation of the agency's laboratory and product development unit for pharmacy internship program by the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria a year ago. Under the watch of Professor Martins Emeje, the agency recently graduated its pioneer pharmacy interns.
I went into nanotechnology or nanosciences after PhD, and I had to go out of the country to train in this area for more than 4 years. So it's an area that I'm keen about. I'm one of the first people, if not the first, in Nigeria to have put in practice nanotechnology. What it has done to me as someone who studied Western pharmacy, which is more like macro study, it is that it has taught me how to manage resources, no matter how simple.
The last 2 years has seen NNMDA signing important memoranda of understanding with reputable academic institutions and other critical stakeholders in the areas of training and laboratory services to Nigerian universities. As part of its advocacy and public enlightenment drive, the agency brought together critical stakeholders in the nation's natural medicine space for a national dialogue on rethinking natural medicine aimed at galvanizing the needed support and political will.
I want the president of Nigeria to just be coming on television and saying that people, natural medicine, no other thing. Natural medicine, let's do our own. Let's do our own. Let him just be saying it. Anytime he's talking to press, let him say it. Because once people know that this is where the president is, this is where his mind is, this is what his body language is, they will start investing in natural medicine.
A turning point for the agency was the resolution of the National Assembly on Natural Medicine Gazette. The visit by the chairman, House Committee on Legislative Compliance, was a further demonstration of the renewed impetus.
We cannot have 160 million people subscribing to something, and then the remaining 40 million people, you now want to say that foreign medicine, what you call allopathic medicine, that is the superior to our natural medicine. No, it's not. So when the House of Representatives passed that resolution, I told myself, I have now achieved. So what I was thinking would take me 4 years to achieve, actually, we got it done in 2 years. And it's one of the, so our target has actually increased. The best place to actually functionalize or operationalize Renew Hope agenda, Mr. President, is in the health sector. It's in the health sector. And I always tell people, 2 things that if you have security in it, then you are safe. Food and medicine. Any intervention, any project that we do, that it is not about developing our own indigenous resources, is short-term. It's not sustainable. The only sustainable form of development is indigenous development. So anybody who wants to give me support now, I will just tell you what I want. For example, I want all my staff to live in this compound. If you go to other countries of the world, all these staff of the research institution, they live inside the compound.
Inspiring a new mindset among staff and attitude to work, for the NNMDA Director General, the task of achieving the mandate and the vision of the agency is work in progress.
Yes, it's a beautiful day. It's a fantastic day. It's an awesome day. And we are super, super excited. Guess what? It is the Femi Walsh Prestige Partnership that is being flagged off right here at the Federal Palace Hotel. Oh my God.
What that thing sums awesomeness. We're being at a place where every conversation about Nigeria's independence happened. And then also thinking about royalty, you know, things that make us feel like we're kings and queens when you come into this place. I mean, I'm oozing seats at this point.
You know, talk about the scenery, the ambience, the rooms. This hotel is actually really, really good. And the fact that Femi Walsh is partnering with Federal Palace Hotel doesn't just give me the chills, like, it makes me happy. Happy.
We're going to be having exclusive events, coverage, and we're going to bring in our expertise to come and give them that edge amongst...
that finesse.
Taking the brand globally through our media. My God. It's not something you want to miss out on this journey that I just started. We're going places, sis.
The Federal Palace Hotel was established in 1960 and constructed by the A.G. Leventis Group. Perhaps one of the most notable thoughts about Federal Palace is that it was used as the venue for independence celebration of Nigeria in 1960. Over the years, the Federal Palace has now become a world-class ultra-modern facility with a touch of elegance. The hotel, which has been recognized nationally and internationally, has become a tourist attraction for many. Perhaps this is the reason Femi Walsh Group decided to partner with the Federal Palace by supporting the hotel with resources and equipment for coverage of all the hotel's events. The president and CEO of Femi Walsh Group, Victor Oluwafemi Walsh, accompanied by the vice president, Idahosa Osamanze, paid a visit to the hotel during the exhibition of the popular Iriri Arts Gallery. It was a day of joy for each of the artists to see that the president of Femi Walsh Group was actually fascinated by their art pieces. The coordinator of the Arts Gallery also expressed his enthusiasm and joy, highlighting the exciting prospects and opportunities arising from the partnership.
Thank you so much, Suk TV, for coming over. It is about celebrating art and creativity. We themed it Luxury and Legacies exhibition. Luxury, as we all know, art is luxury, and the legacies that are left behind by artists are their crafts. So that is why we themed it Luxuries and Legacies exhibition.
Ambassador Victor Walsh encouraged your artists while commending their creativity. The general manager, Herman Britt, was excited that the collaboration between Femi Walsh Group and the Federal Palace Hotel exchanged pleasantries with the president and told Souk News TV about his joy.
The energy is fantastic, and the support that you've given us is absolutely superb. So, yeah, watch this space, and your support is valued, and I love the partnership that you guys give us. So, looking forward to the journey with you guys.
Other members of the senior management of Federal Palace who were on hand to receive the ambassador and members of the Femi Walsh team include Temitope Ifiodun, HR Manager, Billy Uguechi, Events and Banqueting Manager, Chef Chris Onyanu, the Executive Chef of Federal Palace, Oluwatoyin Sulaiman, Housekeeping Manager, Dotun Arogundade, Digital Sales Executive. Each of this senior management staff shared their feelings about the collaboration.
We're actually so excited about this partnership with Souk News. It's going to, be beneficial for both Federal Palace Hotel and Souk News. And we know that all our new offerings will be extended to the larger world. We are actually doing things differently now. Federal Palace is actually doing a lot of things differently now. Our staff are ready to give the best of the best services to our guests.
To cover our events and take care of Federal Palace in terms of media and all that.
The Femi Walsh Group, consisting of all the different subsidiaries like Souk News TV, the ALFM, Novacraft, and the machinery, look forward to doing great things with Federal Palace Hotel as we kick off the Prestige partnership.
We're going places, and yes, with Femi Walsh Prestige Partnership, what we want to do is make sure that we're giving the clients of Federal Palace the best of the best of the very best in terms of coverage, streaming, videography, photography. So if you have a wedding ceremony coming up, you got the birthday party coming up, whatever you have coming up, all you got to do is make sure you contact Femi Walsh, because we give you the best of the best of the very, very best.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Keep watching.
My name is Uyai. I'm a textured artist, and keep watching Souk News.
My name is Alexander Beja, and keep watching Souk News.
Karim Joseph Aramide is my name. I'm a visual artist, and I'm going to tell you this: keep watching Souk.
Hello, I'm Billy Macaulay Oguchi of Federal Palace Hotel. I'm the banqueting and events manager. Keep watching Souk News.
I'm Temitope Ifidon, HR manager of Federal Palace Hotel. Keep watching Souk News.
Thank you, guys.
Federal Palace.
See you soon.